Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode here with your host, Chad. Today, I have my friend Omar with me, and we will be talking about the topic of hospitality. Me and Omar, we go back a couple years. I also refer to him as Big Bro because I know him from my time in San Jose, in California, from school, and he is senior to me and has much more experience. So I will be staying quite unofficial in that regard and also refer to you as Big Bro. And why don't you make a brief introduction about yourself, and then we can dive into the topic of hospitality. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And how did you maybe get into hospitality? Would be a good start.
So, Omar, primarily a city that's based on hospitality. Started working in hotels at 18 years old. Best Western was my first job. That's hospitality, of course. Then I moved on to, well, 6 years later, I went to San Jose State University for software engineering. Dropped out 20 units short because I didn't want to do it. I kind of didn't see myself living the life of a programmer, which is stuck to your computer, I don't know how many hours a day.
Yeah. Are you still talking? Because I cannot hear anything right now.
Can you hear me?
No, yeah, you were gone for 3-4 seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I didn't want to be a person that would be a software engineer because I know my temperament, and if I had a son or daughter, and they want to talk to me about something, and I have a project, I'd probably neglect them or probably snap at them for any reason because that's how I am. So I thought the best thing I could do was just not finish my engineering degree and not become a software engineer. So the one thing I've always known is hospitality, which is
Brief
the
question.
one. Mm-hmm.
You mean you didn't want to do the engineering degree because you felt like it would make you more of a super weird nerd, or what did you mean by that?
Um, it's more like with how I am, like you have to be precise with software engineering or engineering in general,
Yeah.
and it's stressful. And I didn't want to be the kind of person that would snap at people because when I was doing my programming classes in community college, when my mom would ask me to go to dinner, to come to dinner or something like that, I would snap at her because that was my demeanor.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to change my personality because that was just my personality to begin with. So I just thought it'd be better not to be that person and involve other people and be toxic that way to other people, So I don't want to have a wife where I'd yell at her or snap at her because that's just what I'm like when I'm stressed,
Yeah.
Or have a daughter or a son that wants to play with me and me telling them, go away, I'm busy, I didn't want to be that kind of person. So I just chose to do something else. So I was a shy person, I guess you could say, or an introvert, I guess you could call it that way. And the best way for me to deal with being introverted was throwing myself out there. So I decided to get a serving job in 2013. I first started out so after 2008, when I got to San Jose State,
Yeah.
I dropped out in 2011. Went back to working at the Best Western in South Tahoe. And then I went to Marriott in South Tahoe in 2013. Worked for them for a while. And then 2013, I also got my first job in restaurants, which was really different. I mean, It's a blend of hospitality and cuisine and beverage knowledge. So I was offered a job as a server. Well, not a server first. I was offered a job as anything. They actually told me you'll fill in whatever position,
Yeah.
and they just stuck me as an expo. So as an expo, I learned to understand how long food takes to get out to the people, and I had a way of talking to people. So my manager, of course, wanted me to be a server, but he couldn't get me to be a server because he had no one to expo. So I was kind of like stuck. He couldn't promote me because he needed me to be an expo, and he wanted me to be a server, but he couldn't make that call.
So,
Um,
what does Expo stand? Is it an abbreviation or?
so it's an expediter, food expediter. A food
Yeah.
expediter is the guy that gets your plate ready. He has it all set up the way it should be. He's the one that communicates to the kitchen what you need.
Okay,
Um,
I didn't even know this was a thing actually.
I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that are food expediters and they get paid a lot of money, but that's because they have to make sure that plate comes out correctly. These are the people that are responsible also for in case your server forgets your food. They're the ones that have to tell the kitchen, we need something ASAP. We need something done right away.
Yeah.
They're pretty much like the communication between the server and the cooks, because the servers can't talk to the cooks and the cooks can't talk to the servers. It's not like they can't do it, but they're not going to listen to each other. Your communication is the food expediter. Funny thing about that is, I mean, now I can talk about it nowadays.
Mhm.
The restaurant's no longer open. It was a restaurant in South Lake Tahoe. It was inside a hotel that's no longer the same hotel, so I'm not gonna, say it.
Yeah.
Um, but there, I learned, I learned how the kitchen sometimes is, and how the culture of restaurants is. Because I've never been part of the culture. I was always on the hotel side of culture. So when I first got there as an food expediter, the kitchen crew didn't like me. They thought I was like a server. They go like, you don't belong here. Like, you shouldn't.
Mhm.
You're not part of us. Then I would go to the server crew, and they go like, no, we don't treat you like us. You're part of the kitchen. So I was like, again, I'm just the mediator or the in between both these different front of house, which is servers, runners, everything, and back of the house, which is the cooks and everything else. Um, when I got I guess you could call it when I got accepted by the kitchen crew, that I was part of their crew. I would always notice that they had these to-go cups, and these to-go cups had alcohol in them, and I didn't really care. I just, just there to do my job, trying to food expedite, whatever. Then one day they're going like, "Hey, you look thirsty." You're like, "Yeah, it's cool. I got water." They're like, "No, no, no. Here, take this." And that's when they handed me like this to-go cup with beer in it. After that, I was drinking on the line, which of course you can imagine you can't drink while you're on your shift.
Yeah.
So we had them in to-go cups, and I got caught. I'm not gonna lie, I got caught by my manager, and he asked me like, "How does that water taste like?" Like, well, it tastes like water. Oh, okay. Are you okay? Like, are you hydrated? Like, yeah, cool. I'm cool. But he knew that I was, drinking on the job. I mean, it's part of a culture of individuals. I'm not saying everyone does it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's everyone. It's just a culture, like in the restaurant culture. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of drinking. You see a lot of drugs. I'm not gonna I mean, I've never done like heroin, cocaine, and all this shit,
Mm.
but there are people that I knew that were servers that would, try to invite me to it, but I don't like that shit. So, um, when I was almost starting to leave, I mean, there's a lot of wild stuff that happens in restaurants. Like there, one
Uh,
time, and
I
this is the problem.
I have
Hmm?
some questions in between before you go to like further into the topic. Like, did those cups you were talking about? So they were like just paper cups to drink water for the stuff, basically, right?
Yeah, that was just to hide the fact that we were drinking on the job, because we couldn't have
Mm.
human resources and
And
seeing what we did.
and that manager that like asked you was not a kitchen manager but a general manager.
That was a food and beverage manager, is what we call them.
Food and beverage manager. Okay. I was asking, so at the beginning you were in between two teams that were saying you belong to the other team. How did you manage to win like the sympathy of the kitchen crew?
Um, it's not that I want their sympathy. It was just the
Uh,
fact that I guess they kind of thought that I was like my manager, food and beverage manager, really liked the way I was and like my personality and
uh,
thought of me. They kind of felt that I was, that I got the job because I was related to him, which I didn't, and so they hated me because in 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 the industry, there's always gonna be people that you don't like and you like.
mm,
So they didn't. The kitchen crew did not like the food and beverage manager, and because they thought that I was related to him, they didn't like me. So I didn't win them over. When they asked me, like, "Oh, so how'd you get this job?" Like, "Well, dude, I just applied. Like I've never, you don't know him?" Like, no, I don't know who the guy is. This is the first time I met him. They go like, "Oh, we thought you were his family." Like, nope, don't know who the guy is. Not related to him. Don't know anything.
mm,
And so that's how they actually, uh, I guess you could say, came to understand that I wasn't their enemy because they thought like I was gonna give information on them to him so they could fire them. Which of course I didn't want to get involved in shit like that. But what I was gonna say was, when you get to the dark side of the industry, even like I said, alcohol. There was a time there where a server, again, we had the paper cups. He brought in the a server made like this mix of drinks, I guess you could say. He brought in a little, bucket full of alcohol, juice or whatever.
mm.
Gave it to everyone, and he gave some to a dishwasher at that point in time. And the dishwasher really hated the chef. Of course, when you're sober, you just you're there to function, do your job. You don't do anything stupid.
Uh,
But of course, you gave alcohol to a guy that hates the chef, and they got him drunk pretty much. So the dishwasher, when he got drunk, he just yells at the top of his lungs like, "Where's the chef?" And everyone's like looking at him like, "Why?" Because I'm gonna kill him. So then the chef hears this stuff, and he goes running to the to his office because he's like, "He's gonna kill me." So he's like banging on the door, trying to open the door, break it down, and the server responsible for the alcohol tells him to calm down, and he goes like, and the dishwasher goes like, "Well, if you want to like calm me down, why don't we just fight it out?" And he goes like, and the server, he was a bit on the built side, he had muscles and all that, and he had 4 rings on his hand. He always wore silver rings, and he had 4 of them. And when he heard that from the dishwasher, he slapped him one and knocked him out. The next day that the dishwasher comes in, everyone's like laughing, because they see him and they ask him like, "Hey, So did it hurt when he slapped you? And then he was like, nah, no. This one said like, no, it didn't hurt. But there were like four indentation marks of the rings on his face. Of course that hurt him, but he didn't want to admit the fact that he knocked him out. So that's the danger of doing alcohol on the shift, which I'm not saying
Mm.
doesn't happen nowadays. It might happen somewhere. I just don't know where, and I don't really care.
So,
The other thing is there is a an alarming rate, I guess you could say, or you should be there's an awareness for women that sometimes they get sexually harassed, even though it's never reported. Um, there was a woman one time when I was working there, and my food and
uh,
beverage.
I
Hmm?
have a brief question before you change the
Yeah,
topic. So,
yeah.
like the
Go for it.
dishwasher guy, he was aware that he was drinking alcohol, or he wasn't. I mean, like he was pretty much aware when he also was getting drunk with the rest of the crew, right?
Oh
When
no,
he,
he was aware.
yeah,
He,
okay,
he was aware that he was getting drunk.
yeah,
It's they call it like keeping hydrated because you feel like you deserve it because you've been behind the line so much.
yeah,
And I don't know if you understand, but most people understand when you're behind those lines of the kitchen. It's really really hot back there. You're talking about people being in front of a lot of pans and a lot of heat coming out from the fryers and all that stuff. So you get really hot back there. You also have the heat lamps on, which are in front of your face too, which are emitting so much heat to keep the food warm.
and those people work like 10, 12 hours, right? Or well, what's the average?
You could. So it just depends. I mean, there's people that work 10, 12 hours. It just depends on what people call side work or after work. Like you have to scrub the pots and the pans, and you have to clean out the fryers. You have to clean. You have to wash everything because everything has to be inspected.
Mm.
Because you never know when the health department might come in. So everything always has to be cleaned every night, and you see it every night. Everything everywhere I worked at so far is always on the task of having everything clean every night.
Mm. All
So
right.
they have long hours, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So what I was saying was about sexual harassment in the workplace. I mean, you might not hear about it too much. I mean, no one. I don't think anyone's ever gonna admit that it happens, but it does happen. Mostly women, and I mean, I've heard of stories, and I think I've only seen one instance, and that was when my food and beverage manager, at the same place, same restaurant, he came up behind one of my coworkers. She was a server. She was on the line waiting for her food, and he came up behind her and grabbed her hands and pretty much pressed his body against her body. And he was trying to tell her like all these things, and I'm like feeling uncomfortable because I go like, oh, so this is happening. So, this is this is the human resources phone call that we have to go through, which I'm not gonna be the one that makes the phone call. If she's gonna do that call, I would gladly back her up. But she just shrugged it off. Like, oh, so you didn't want to say anything about him rubbing up against your
Mm.
body. Okay, well, but apparently it's something that's happens within this industry. Again, I haven't been too long in this industry, but apparently it happens a lot more than anything else. Most women get sexually harassed in the restaurant industry. Unfortunately, that happens. Um, I've talked to many women that have told me that, and I go like, "Wow, that's crazy!" Like, and it's unfortunate because no one wants to feel that way, and especially not at work.
So, like, I mean, it's not hard to see also why those guys hated this manager, among other
I
things,
mean,
probably.
yeah,
But
as
like,
I'm saying, like, it's my manager. Like, bro, like, what are you doing? You've had the training to not do this, and you're doing this.
Yeah. But like the stories you hear from other women, like were they usually, did they say, were they like harassed more by coworkers or like by supervisors?
It's always, regardless of whether supervisor or manager or whatever, it's always a coworker. Majority of the time, it'll always be a coworker. And I mean that because it could be a manager. I mean, and I
Mm.
say that because he works with you, so he's your coworker. He could be your supervisor. They work with you at the same time. It, it it just seems like whatever this industry was back in the day, they're trying to keep those, I guess, rules that they had back in the day still alive. I'm not sure. I wasn't around in the industry back in those days, but I'm guessing this is what was normal for the restaurant industry back in those days.
Do you mean like 1960s or 70s or what?
Yeah, I mean, I again, I wasn't around in
Mm.
the restaurant industry at the time, but yeah, like past rules are the ones that hold up to now. And based on the people that I'm talking about, they were older than me. They were probably around the restaurant industry back in those days, and it's in the restaurant industry is you're not a stranger to your coworkers. You always hang out with them. After your shift, you go and get a drink with them. But there's a line. I mean, for me, there is a line. Like you. I think most people say you don't shit where you eat.
Mm.
Meaning you're not gonna try to do anything to ruin your money, pretty much. So with doing, especially with this is legal. That's you definitely don't want to do that. And there are some that just go with it. I'm not saying that I agree with it. I don't agree with it, but there are some people that lend themselves to that kind of treatment, and they just don't fight for themselves. So, anyways, that was my experience there. Then I was working. I came to San Jose back again in 2015. Work for one of the best companies that I think is one of the best companies in hospitality, which is the best, not the best right now, the Four Seasons Hotel. So the Four Seasons is known for like luxury. It has like this prestige. If you go stay there, it's like an honor to stay there because they treat you like their family. When we were being trained, it was like you gotta treat these people like their extended family. When you go in, I mean, it's not a secret, but we pretty much like try to learn your habits the minute that you come in. We'll acknowledge you by your name or your last name or your title, like doctor or whatever. If we see that you like your glass of water on the left hand side, from then on, it'll always be on the left hand side. If you like your latte a certain way, we'll always make the latte the same way. You'll always feel whatever Four Seasons you go to, we know who you are, and we'll always treat you the same way.
So
That
like
that for me.
one
Hmm?
question in between that. Does that mean
Yeah.
like that there is like, I'm talking in general about all hotels that have high standards, do they like have a file about certain people that are like frequent customers, if they, I don't know, like if they eat with their left hand, if they come with a certain type of car, if they like swimming in the pool usually, like do they keep track of this? Like, I mean, it sounds like James Bond.
I mean, we do. I mean, even now, like every restaurant asks us to like know our. I mean, we're not supposed to know anything other than the fact of your mannerisms. Like
Mm.
maybe after like 10 minutes, you like to go out for a smoke, so we leave you alone. We don't bother you. But it's a way for us to be hospitable towards you in the sense that we understand how you are and we will acknowledge it and we'll respect it. Um, as far as like let's say it's being familiar with you. Yeah, let's say someone came into Four Seasons and he's a regular customer, comes in all the time for lunch at the restaurant. we'd probably know his name. Well, of course, we know his name or his or her name, and then we'd also know their families. Whatever if they have daughters, sons, we know their wife. Like we pretty much like your extended family. We know stuff that makes you feel like you were part of us. It's a report. We want you to. We have to have this report with you, so like you feel like you're at your second home, or like with your best friend, or where you're, whatever. And working there, I think I gained the knowledge of. I think the highest standards, one of the higher, well, not the highest, one of the higher standards of restaurant service industry. Um, it's just it was different in the sense that you would come in, and this is, I guess, how you would feel if you were for Google or any like Silicon Valley company. The second that you get into the parking lot, you park your car. It's a structure, and the doors that you go through to go to the, you have to get checked in by security because you can't just go in there. So the second you go through those doors, it says beyond these doors lie the greatest employees of Silicon Valley, which is a nice reaffirmation of the fact that they appreciate you, which is a good thing to see when you get there. Then you walk in, security guard greets you by your name, and of course you know their name. I mean, you know everybody's name.
Mhm.
You go up to the second floor, and next thing you know is you go to the laundry room. Laundry room has your uniform. They hand it to you, and they, of course, everyone there is so like nice or like, polite, I guess you could say. They say good morning, call you by your name, how's everything going? Again, we just know information about each other. How's everything going with this? How's everything with that? But it's like you never left, your family. Then you go back to the locker room, switch your uniform. Then they have a whole little cafeteria for you where you can enjoy whatever you want to eat, pastries, breakfast, cereal, eggs, bacon, all the stuff that you want. Then you go to your shift, go to the restaurant, and you start what they call is prepping. You cut your lime wedges, lemon wedges, you do all that kind of stuff. You get set up your coffees, your cheese, and you're talking about 6 in the morning, the earliest, and going through San Jose traffic. You probably have to get around 5. You have to get around up around 4:30 in the morning to get to Palo Alto from San Jose downtown
So
at 6 o'clock.
how many miles is that, and how many hours? Like, does it take 60 minutes, 90 minutes, or how long?
At that point in time, it's like it's traffic. It's a lot of traffic and down in San Jose going up to Palo Alto. It's a lot of traffic. You're talking about 1 hour at least minimum to get to Palo Alto. The funny thing is, the Four Seasons territory, uh, even though it's called Palo Alto, it lies within the territory of East Palo Alto, and it has a unique history because the land that Four Seasons sits on was actually a bootlegging property back in the old days. Bootleggers were around there.
Well, what's a
And
bootlegger? I didn't hear that word before.
this was like during the time of Prohibition, where you couldn't buy alcohol. So people made their own alcohol, and it was illegal. I think that's if I remember correctly, that's what they told us about the history of the land that they sit on.
Yeah.
So when I got there, I learned about, again, upping my standards of fine dining. And of course, you're always going to run into people in the restaurant industry where um, they like to horse around or mess around. There was one time where one of my coworkers, one of the servers had his so to get to the computer screen of your serving machine, you have to, at that point in time, they used a key card to be able to get to that screen. So one of my coworkers took a stapler and put a staple through the magnetic strip. And I was thinking, like, this is really dumb, you know? You don't know what you're gonna do. You don't know what you just done. He was like, no, no, it'll be a good joke. I'm like, no, it's not. Because the server grabbed this key and slid it through the computer. And you can just imagine this thing probably scraped the inside of the reader, inside the computer, which probably caused damage, you know, to the computer. Then when he found out that it had been stapled, of course he told the manager, but we weren't gonna say shit. We weren't gonna talk anything about it. We were in this place. I guess you could say we were free. We would make lattes for ourselves. We'd make ice. We could drink whatever you, non-alcoholic, of course. You could drink whatever you want. They wouldn't get on your case. At the same time, when it was business or like when it's time to work, you had people coming in like we had the Liverpool team one time come in and stay there, and all you saw was people were their coaches like and their crew. Just a lot of people on their headset talking and stuff like that, and we were serving them, and you got to see like a Saudi prince come in one time, and he also bought out the whole restaurant because his son was graduating from Stanford, and it was just 10 people, and we were like, damn, like you got this kind of money where you could just do this, okay? 30 bottles of sparkling, 30 bottles of still,
Mm.
and from there, but I mean, again, at this point, I'm just kind of learning cuisines and stuff like that. I'm ramping up my knowledge of wine and cuisines. So I kind of, when going through the San Jose traffic goes north in the morning, and then it comes back south in the evening. So at some point, I decided to get a job because I don't want to go through traffic in Santa Clara. It was called the Plaza Inn Suites. It was a good job. It was a great restaurant. Lots of wines, lots of great cuisines. The chef there was Michelin rated, so was my manager.
I
And the one,
this
hmm?
That's a new story, though, right? I have two questions for the former stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, like, so after the guy put the staple through that reader or that card, what happened? Like, did they replace the complete thing or what?
Nah, it was still functional. Nothing happened, but
Mm.
it's just you got to imagine like that's kind of destruction of property, you know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you get fired for that, but again, it's just
And
yeah,
that was very
that's kind of like
yeah, that
you're
was
being like
very unwise. Okay, but
yeah,
then
well, no, it's like jackass. Yeah, you can be a
yeah,
jackass like that.
but like and during your time like in Palo Alto before that, it was the Four Seasons, right?
It was just yeah.
Yeah, at the Four Seasons, like I mean, when you guys came in the morning and like you could have some snacks or drinks before you start work, like how rigorous was like checking like your outfits? I suppose you guys were like in long sleeves, or did you have to wear suits? Where was someone like checking like daily if you're, I don't know, I'm exaggerating, your hair was off 2 centimeters or like 2 inches to the right or left?
Nah,
Like
I,
how
I
like
get
rigorous was that?
I get what you're saying. I guess I would call that standards of the hotel or standards of the employer, what they expect of you.
Yeah,
No, fortunately for us, Four Seasons provided the uniform for us.
yeah.
They were that nice about it. I mean, I'd go in with my, regular clothes. Then I'd go to the second floor, get my, in the laundry room, they give me a uniform for me.
Mm.
And then I go to the locker room and put that uniform on. And it was just a yellow shirt and black slacks. Um, they really didn't. mind that you have facial hair or you had long beard, which is something surprising based on what I saw in Lake Tahoe in the restaurant industry. Because when I was working at the hotel in Lake Tahoe, I was clean shaven, no mustache, no beard.
No.
That way, no one could say like, you know, your hair fell in my food. Like, no, bro, I don't have
No.
any. I don't have any hair. So fortunately for us, for season, and well, either way you want to look at it, yes, there's an image that people want us to have about us, which is you got to be clean shaven and everything. That's the old rules, I guess you could call them,
No.
versus the new rules coming in, which is coming as you want, like in the sense of you don't want to shave, but it's kind of it feels kind of disrespectful to the profession at some point. But yeah, we were never really told to change our appearance ever at all. Unfortunately, as well.
No. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, they were really nice to us. One of the most amazing hotels I worked for. Given the chance, if anyone ever works for the Four Seasons Hotel, what I was given the perks of working at a restaurant hotel versus a restaurant that stands alone, like uh, I don't know, Black Angus or Macaroni Grill or other restaurant that's um, out there, is that the Four Seasons Hotel would also give you uh, complimentary nights wherever you wanted to stay. Like if I wanted to stay in Africa,
Mm.
they have a Four Seasons Hotel where you could just, if they allowed you to, if they accepted your request, they would let you stay there for free, no charge. You get perks from working at restaurant hotels versus regular hotels. I mean, at regular restaurants.
Yeah.
Um, so when I started working at Santa Clara, the Pleasant Suites, one of the craziest stories was when I was training there. It was my first week. I was training for the restaurant. My trainer was she was absent. She said she was sick, and and for America, this is like the Final Four, which is basketball going on. The great big games and important games in basketball, and then you also have the Sharks playing in San Jose, and it's a hotel that gives you um, these little tickets so you can get free alcohol at the lounge where I worked at, and they give you three per day. And also top it off, it was like a kids baseball team staying there. So next thing I know is my trainers not coming in, only our managers, and the whole restaurant gets full. And I'm going like, fuck me at this point, because you gotta imagine like 40, 50 tables. Um, yeah, it's to get to all these people within a certain, I mean, industry standards probably around 1 minute to greet a table. Most people are not ready, but 1 minute. But 1 minute was acceptable, and it's just one person taking all the orders, and it's just me. And there comes a point in time where like nothing, like you kind of feel like you failed. You're like stressed out because you have 40, 50 tables you got to take care of. You got to think about waters, drinks, food, and then
But like, so you had like you didn't have any coworkers like doing the same or what?
nobody.
Like,
No, they was just me. And at one point in time, I'm like in the kitchen because I'm trying to hide, because it's bad.
yeah, okay. And but that sounds like a very like I don't know. How can you like fuck up that badly like on such a event day like you being there on your own? I mean, it sounds like, and the manager was not there either, right? Are you still talking? I'm not hearing anything at the moment.
I'm saying like
Yeah.
it's a stress, the stress of people, because you don't know how people might behave. They might be angry because they're hungry, or
Mm.
they might be relaxed or whatever. But you got to imagine if people haven't ate, like you're talking about 40, 50 tables at the same time trying to get their food, and I'm the only one taking their order, and my manager helped me out. Yeah, of course. Normally, I would say a server could probably take like 12 tables maximum, but that's where you get your fear. You go like 50 tables right now.
Yeah, but like,
And then I won't.
where,
Hmm?
where was like everyone else from your team? Like the other waiters, like were they at home sick or like hiding? Or I didn't get that part.
Called in sick.
Okay.
So I was the only one, and you can't cry about it. So
Oh man.
you do it. At one point in time, all I heard was they were all chanting, "Where is Omar?" I was like, "What the fuck? Where is Omar?" And you gotta imagine this kind of like embarrassing, like kind of like it's kind of like you're stressed out and you're hearing this and you're going like, "Shoot."
Oh, where were they chanting it? Like you, the coworkers, or like the guests, or what?
The people, everyone in the room, in the dining room, was chanting, "Where is Omar?" So you gotta imagine, like, I'm hearing this, like, holy shit. Like, what can I do? I can't do shit. Eventually, I get to the shift, everyone says, "Hey, man, you did a good job. You pulled through." I go, like, "Yeah, you asshole. You tell me this after you fucking enjoyed, but now, I mean, you gotta imagine, like, people were saying, like, oh, you did a great job. You stuck through it." I go, like, "Yeah, asshole, but a few minutes ago, you wanted to fucking, take my head off." And I was stressed out. Like, the stress was so fucking much that I couldn't, you know?
So but it was not a, it was not something like a prank. Like people were actually missing. The coworkers were missing, and like you had to like to take care of a situation that was not foreseen by the managers, right?
No, it's just, you gotta go through it, man. It's fucking, that's what makes it stressful. That's what makes the job stressful. Like, sometimes you might just get stuck with situations like that. I mean, that's the only time I remember having a bad story from that place. It was that. It was just, that was my first taste of what it's like to take on a whole restaurant by yourself, pretty much, having to take all the, and you got to think about this. When we're taking your food order, um, you need to tell us your dietary restrictions, meaning your allergies, cultural standards, meaning like some people are like halal, some people, have cultural standards like Jewish people can only eat kosher, stuff like that. Um, but if you don't tell us, we don't know. And one thing that happened back in Lake Tahoe at the restaurant I was working at, a server. I'll tell you two stories of incidents. One server, uh, he he sold a pork product to a Jewish person. So Jewish people don't eat pork.
Mm.
When the Jewish person found out that it was pork, he went to the hospital and he went to get his stomach pumped so they could get the pork out of his stomach. Think about that. Think about how much. I mean, who's gonna pay for it? It has to be the hotel.
But for me, it's the first time I'm hearing someone go those lengths, like to
Oh
follow
yeah,
their
I know.
religion. No,
Believe
no.
me, I know. But I don't know how far you want to take it. I really don't know how far you want to take it. And that's the
Mm.
thing. Me as a server, I've learned from people's mistakes, and that was one thing I learned about the cultural. Um, always try to explain to people what the thing is, what you're eating, what does it have in it, or always ask people like, what are your dietary restrictions? And the second time over there at Lake Tahoe, that restaurant I worked at, a person did not ask if the customer had allergies. which is a big, big no-no because you could kill someone if you don't ask. And this is the stress part of the industry. Like, you're actually responsible for people's health. You could pretty much, if you don't ask the right questions, or if you don't or if you're not careful, you could do something like that's life threatening. So this individual sold an item to a person that was allergic, but he didn't know because he didn't ask, and the other person didn't, because he thought there was nothing allergy. Next thing you
Mm.
know is he has an allergic reaction on the floor, and he's like, his your throat's like, depending on your reaction, your allergic reaction, your throat could close shut, and that's it, man. You're done. Think about that as a server. Like, if you got to that point, what, like death, you just killed someone. And luckily he had an EpiPen on him, so he was okay. That's one of the stories from there that I go like, I take those two things seriously: cultural standards and allergies.
Yeah.
So another thing, and I'll tell you some stories from the restaurant industry. When I was working at a hotel, this hotel gave us free breakfast, and I learned a lot from this hotel. Again, hospitality. That's what I was in. Um, this hotel would pay us to remove snow. Well, we were working for the hotel, but they would have us remove snow on snow days in Lake Tahoe, and they would go through breakfast. So one day, I go into the restaurant because we would wash their linens and cloths. I came in to pick up the sack of cloths, and I see the cook, and I know him, and he goes like, I greet him like, hey man, how's it going? He goes like, good. How are you doing? Good. He goes, would you like some breakfast? And I go like, no, I appreciate it, man, but I already ate breakfast at home. I had a bagel, and this is where I learned like, it's not that when the kitchen offers you food, you just say yes, just say yes, and whether you eat it or not or take it home, just take it home. And I
Mm.
said no. I said no, and he goes, "What's your problem?" I'm like, "What?" I go, "What do you mean, bro? Like every day I offer you food, and you never fucking want to eat." Like, well, bro, I just told you like I ate a bagel. Like, no, no, no. Like every day, like what? You don't like my food? I go like, no, no, it's not that, man. Like I already ate food. Like, so what? Like I had to lie to him. I go like, I just think maybe if the manager saw this, he wouldn't. He was like, "Fuck the manager." I'm talking to you right now. Do you want? Will you have some pancakes to give them to you? Like, sure, man. Sure. Like, I'm trying not to. I've already ate. Like I'm just. He's getting aggressive over fucking nothing. I go like, bro, I don't want to fucking eat. I've already ate. Well, sure, why not? Why not? Fuck it.
But
And
that puts it in a weird light again, because then I feel like, okay, did you put something in the pancakes?
no, no, no. Well, I'm watching him making the pancakes, in front of me, and he's like talking to me, flipping the pancakes while I wait for the pancakes. And I'm not saying this happens everywhere.
Mm.
It does not happen everywhere. But you're ever watching we waiting, you'll see a lot of shit that was based on an actual restaurant, not this restaurant that I worked at, not this hotel. I mean, so this guy's flipping the pancakes and it falls on the floor, and I go like, "Hey, bro, I appreciate that you give me pancakes, but I'm not eating that shit right there. I'm not eating that pancake." He was like, "No, that's not for you, man." I'm like, "Oh, are you gonna throw it away?" He was like, "No, I'm gonna give it to the guests out there." Like, fuck. He goes, "I got more respect for you than for the people out there." Like, holy shit. He put that on a plate and it went out. I mean, you would never know, you know? That's just it happens. It's just possible that someone does that. And after that I kinda go like, oh, if this guy's doing it, how many more people do in the restaurants, like but I don't
So
I'm nowadays.
he to put the pancake on the table that on the plate that was on the ground, basically, or what?
Yeah, he said he gave it to someone. Yeah. to someone that was staying at the hotel.
Yeah, like I'm not surprised, but like on the other hand, like
Yeah. I mean,
you.
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen everywhere. I've worked at many restaurants. It
Mm,
doesn't happen everywhere. It was just this guy was in a real not happy place in life when I talked to him. But yeah, but that was again years ago. You're talking about 20 years ago. Again,
mm,
restaurants nowadays have changed. But so, anyways, back to San Jose. So I'm Santa Clara. This happens to me. This whole. So now I'm getting now I'm understanding how to be a server. I've got the industry. At the same time, getting stressed out from the whole drive to Palo Alto. Uh, you know, accidents everywhere. You're late by like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to Palo Alto. You're like, shit. I left the Four Seasons Hotel, I'd say 2016, around there, and in summer. Same thing with Santa Clara. I left that hotel 2016. You can imagine why after having that experience. I went to a restaurant in Milpitas, um, coming from the Four Seasons Hotel, and this restaurant hotel is different. Hospitality is different for hotel restaurants versus regular restaurants. At the Four Seasons Hotel, if you have a person that's overweight or a bit on the big side,
mm,
you're not gonna see them in a booth because they might be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable emotionally because psychologically and all that stuff, or uncomfortable physically because they don't really fit in a booth. But anyways, people in this restaurant didn't care, and they just wanted the money. Anyways, I went to this restaurant where, yeah, it was a shit show. Um, it's he had 12 tables total. Sometimes you get parties of 20s, 10s. I saw a lot of people, managers get cursed out. It was a real shit show. I stayed there for like 3 years. I had so I'll tell you stories. When I first got there, I met a hostess, and she was 18. I think she was about to graduate high school, and I'm new to the area. I'm new to the San Jose Bay area. And then she goes like, "Hey, Omar, I need money." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's get more shifts." She was like, "No, I'm not gonna do more shifts." I go, well, "What are you gonna do?" She goes, "I'm gonna go do a lick." Now I don't know if you know what a lick is or whoever's listening to this, but a lick
mm.
is where you rob someone. And you're talking about a high schooler saying this shit to me. Like I'm going like, you're gonna go rob someone. You're gonna go rob someone. Like shit, dude. And
And
I was released
and
out there.
she was a hostess or what?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was a hostess, but think about it. At 17 or 18-year old and robbing people, it's crazy, right? It's hella crazy. So, anyways, um, working here, you know, you get stressed out because you hear shit like this. Or one time we had a manager come from a different property, like Stockton, came over here, and sometimes people are not the same as in Silicon Valley. They're from out of town. And so this guy doesn't know how some people are high strung in Silicon Valley. So anyways, we're in lunch and people have 1 hour to eat. So you got 10 minutes after 11:30 to get on the freeway or the street to drive to the restaurant. You got 45 minutes to eat, and then you got those rest of the 15 minutes to go back to your job, right? So you don't have trouble. There was a time where like my we had a visiting manager. The table didn't get their food on time. It was like 12:40. Their food was gonna be like 10 more minutes late. And then the people that were getting the food decided to walk out. They said, "Well, We don't have time. We wasted our time here. Like we're not getting our food. As the manager says, "Oh, thank you for coming in. Have a great rest of your day." Someone turns back. A woman turns back, and she goes, "Fuck you." Because of you, I didn't get shit to eat. And he tells me like, why is she mad? Like, well, I think she told you. She didn't get a chance to eat. Like, what do you mean? How's that make sense? Like, you don't get it. She's mad. I also had one time a guy came from Texas. I was his server. He's complaining. He's talking on a phone to a phone company, a phone repair company, and he's complaining about the price. He goes like, "Well, with these prices, good luck on keeping customers." And then when I'm asking him, so my name is such and such, my take your order. He goes, Omar, what the fuck is what the fuck is you guys' problem? Oh, and I'm like a server, like, what do you mean? What's our problem, man? I just got here, like, what the fuck? What do you mean, sir? Like, no, like, like all you guys here, all you guys are here are fucking problematic. Like, not me. Like, he goes, Dad, no, you're from here. You're from. I'm not. I go like, no, man, I'm not from here. Like I am not from here. I told him I know what you're talking about, but I am not from here. I'm from Lake Tahoe. We're like relax. And he was like, it's like my boss. He goes, my boss today comes into my office, and I'm guessing this guy works for a tech company. He goes, he screams at me, and while he's screaming at me, I tell him, well, yeah, that's how you feel. How about we take it out back? I don't know. You will know what it means let's take it out back. What it means. So he was telling me that he's gonna go fucking fight this guy just because he yelled at him, which is understandable. And I go, why would you do that? He goes like, because in Texas we'll do that. He goes like, if we have a problem, we'll take it out back. I go like, well, that's not how it happens here, man. Like we have human resources. You can't do that. So I came across a lot of different individuals like that, and there was a time where one time my manager, she was hungover, and she didn't get to the restaurant on time. So the manager always gets there first, or the chef, and they open the door for everyone else, right? But she was hungover, and she didn't make it on time to the store. So I'm like I go in, and I ask her like, "Where's everyone? Where's the kitchen crew?" She goes like, "They probably left." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "Probably because I didn't show up on time and open the door." Like, okay, we'll just call them. She goes like, I will. Right now we gotta get everything started. Like, I tell her like we have 1 hour to open, and I don't. Like having suffered that in Santa Clara where they were yelling, "Where is Omar?" I told her like, I don't want to go through this again, bro. She goes like, "We'll be okay." So I go, please, for the love of God, just call the district manager. And so I hit her. I hit her up. I mean, I tell her like just call the district manager, please, and tell them that we can't open. She was like, no, we're gonna open. And I go, who's gonna cook the food? She goes, I'm gonna cook everything. Like, you gotta imagine.
So the drunk, this woman is the manager.
Yeah.
And usually the kitchen crews, I mean, the door was locked. She had to open the door, which she didn't, right? Or what?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So she's trying to cook all the food.
Yeah.
Think about that. What happens if you get 30 people in the morning? There's no way one person could cook 30 different things, So I'm going, just for the love of God, please just call someone. Call district manager, call someone and tell them we can't open, She was like, no, we'll be okay. Luckily, the kitchen crew came back, but you got to imagine the stress at that point in time where you go like, why? Why are we doing this,
Yeah.
And then there was you go through the stress of that. At that restaurant, Later on, so at that restaurant, I had a manager that I guess you could say held me hostage. When I was working there, she had me work 6 days a week, and I didn't understand why. But I was working another restaurant job at night too, so I had two out for a while. For a year, I was working probably like from 10:30, from 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night, 11 in the morning to 11 at night. And one day, my coworker came to me, and she goes like, "Hey Omar, do you, would you like me to pick up some of your shifts? Like, please pick up any shifts, you know?" As my manager's passing by, she goes like, "Oh, Omar can release his shifts, and you can pick them up, but I still gotta approve it." I go like, "Why?" Like, she wants to work. She goes like, "Yeah, but you know what? Until from now until day she quits, I'm only gonna give her 1 day off. I mean, 1 day to work, which is illegal because you can't do that. You know, that's retaliation or whatever the hell you want to call it."
So
And
she can only,
hmm,
your coworker can only take one shift from you, or what did you mean by that one day? I didn't get it.
she can only work 1 day. She
Okay.
was only gonna give her 1 day of work until she quit because she didn't want to fire her because the unemployment. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm like hearing this and like, well, what if I switch my availability? So availability means what days and what hours you're able to work. And at that point in time, I had my open availability, and I told her like my manager like, what if I just change my availability? She was like, oh, you can try, but I'm not gonna approve it. I was like, what do you mean? She goes like, no, I'm not gonna approve it until she quits. So I was going like, bro, what the fuck? Like you're pretty much have me as a hostage. Funny thing is, that manager, she got fired. I was in the dining room when it happened. The manager from the district came in, and they were sitting next to the bar. And then there was people next to her too, next to that table. And I'm watching her, and next thing you know is she was like, "You can't fucking fire me. You're gonna really fucking fire me like this?" And blah blah. And she gets mad. And then there's a table next to her, which is a big no-no. You should never say bad words or negative, actions next to your table. And yeah, she just didn't care. She said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." And the bartender comes over and goes like, "Can you guys please keep it down? There's a table next to you." I'm like, what the fuck do you mean, bro? Like, what do you mean? She got fired. She gonna give a shit. But this place was wild because of the stuff that went down. One time, after this manager left, we had a manager that came from Alcoholics Anonymous, and one of our bartenders had a alcohol problem. He came in drunk sometimes, or hungover, or would drink on his way there. Anyways, he came in drunk, and the manager sees it, and she goes, "Oh, honey, I need you to work, so please take a shot, and then, you know, like saying like just take a shot and get back to work." Like, how do you tell? So again, the restaurant industry is weird. When they want you to drink, you'll drink.
And that sounds like, I don't know. I never thought from that perspective. But on the other hand, if I imagine like people working in front of alcohol bottles all day long, it doesn't seem
Oh
that far
man,
fetched.
nah, you have no idea. People will, they'll hide it. I've known many people that have gotten fired for it. I know many people that have drank in front of everyone. The other thing that happened there was again going back to the cultural thing. I had a coworker. It was her first serving job, and we had a pasta, or not a pasta, but um, it's called a tortellacci, and it was filled with butternut squash and had prosciutto. Prosciutto is pork, And then, of course, I mean, you have a whole culture of people that don't eat pork, and she sold it to someone that doesn't eat pork. So I'm in the back cleaning the machines for the soda machines. She comes back. She goes like, "Hey, Omar, my table's asking me what is prosciutto." And remember what I said about the story about Lake Tahoe and the pork and the guy that was Jewish?
Mm.
What do you think to my mind?
You probably told them it's beef.
That we pretty much just fucked up big time. So I'm looking at her go like, why? And she goes like, oh, some guy's asking. I go, yeah, why? She goes, because he's never had it before. I go like, okay, okay. I go, what ethnicity is he or what culture is he? She was like, oh, he's a Hindi. I go like, God. I go like, God dang it, dude. Like, so majority of the Hindi people don't eat pork. It's a
Mm.
animal that to them is dirty. So then I go like, just don't go back out there, bro. Don't go back out there. And then she was like, why? Like, because they don't eat pork, and what you just did, oh, it's really fucking big. I go like, don't go back out there. Just stay here. Because at that point, what are you gonna do? Like, eat, what? Get his stomach pumped? I don't know. I don't know how far he's willing to take it. And so she made it through that day. But
So
in that restaurant, huh?
she told them basically.
Hell no, she didn't tell him. How would you tell him? No, you don't tell them. You just at that point you fucked up. You're not gonna say like, oh, just so you should say pork and think about the conversations and
Yeah.
happen. What if you want to talk to the manager?
Yeah, but like,
You know,
how many years ago was that?
this was 2016, 2017 when I worked there.
Man, like people had
Uh,
phones back then and the internet. Like, why aren't people just Googling this stuff?
that's because um, that's because you're getting more and more younger people serving
Mhm.
that don't understand all these things. Um, and she was 18, I think. Nah, she was like 20 around the time.
No, no, not her, but I mean like the customers. Usually, if I don't know what
Ah,
a certain type of food is, I just Google it.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, that's why you're a server. You tell
Mm.
them what it is, and if you don't tell them what it is, you're not really a good server because they don't, understand. And most people, especially in the Bay Area, their information they want it to be quick. Yeah, every time I see it, they go to Yelp and they look at the pictures. Um, I get asked the question that I think is the most basic, which is, "So what's good here?" You know, and I go, "Well, you think back about what I said about allergies and cultural um, rules." I tell them it's just everything's good here. It just depends on your dietary restrictions. And they go, "What does that mean?" They're like, "Well, when it's a person that I work at right now at the current moment, I work at a Mediterranean restaurant, which has a lot of vegetarian options. So when they ask me that question, like, what does that mean? I go like, well, how about this? What's good here is the lamb shank. And they go like, well, we're vegetarian. Like, I know. That's what I'm asking you. What are your dietary restrictions? It's not that complex, bro. Like, tell me what you can and you can't eat. Oh, we can't eat meat. Okay, so let me do you a favor. Read the menu. It'll tell you if it has beef or not, or animals. They go, so everything's good here? Like, yeah, everything is good. I'm not gonna eat fucking everything that's fucking non-vegetarian. Anyways, so at that restaurant that I
Mhm.
was working at, Peters, yeah, it was. You get to see a lot of the crazy culture. I mean, you saw fights. Dishwasher tried to fight with the cook. They both got fired. The dishwasher tried to kiss that hostess that I was talking about that was 18 years old.
Yeah.
We had a host that was like another teenager. He gave zero shits. He one day like we were used to like not working. We were used to just taking tables because the more tables you get, the more money you make. So we would see tables ourselves instead of the host. So then one day we're busy. After everything is over, I go in the back and I see this kid coming from the outside. I go, hey man, what's going on? Like, where were you? He was like, oh, I was taking my break. Oh, good stuff. Good shit. Like, good. Take your break. And I asked him, like, where'd you go for your break? He was like, I was in my car. I was sleeping. Like, I go for 10 minutes. He was like, nah, I was in there sleeping for 2 hours. Think about that shit. Sleeping for 2 hours? He got paid to sleep for 2 hours. And no one ever caught him. And one day, the dishwasher, of course, he has to go home. And the manager at the time asked him, like, hey, he goes, can you wash the dishes? He was the host. And he was like, fuck no. He goes, why not? He goes, because that's not in my job description. And he walked away like, holy shit. Think about it. Tell your manager a fuck no and then walking away and not your job description. Kid
Is
had
it
balls, dude.
that's the dishwasher who got drunk, or was it someone else?
No, this was here in San Jose. This was a different dishwasher.
Okay.
But no,
Well,
he got sick, and this kid, they asked the kid to wash the dishes, and he said, "Fuck no, it's not my job description." And he walked away. And
yeah.
while I was working there, you understand it's complex to work with people, especially like I said, in the restaurant industry. There's a lot of people that are, I mean, drinking or something, or they're they're different. It's like a mentally different kind of people. So, anyways, when I was when I was there, I was also working at another restaurant across the street. So I had like an hour break. So again, in the restaurant industry, you drink a lot, after your job. So one day, well, not one day, many days, many times, I would tell my coworkers like, "Hey, how about we go next door to this restaurant? They have the bottle of wine is half off, so instead of 100, we'll pay 50, and we'll all drink." So I would always go there with my coworkers and then go to my next job. Sometimes you could tell that I was, on something, sometimes not.
Mm.
And one day, my manager goes like, he finally caught on. He goes like, I was talking to the hostess at my other job, at the night job, and my manager comes. She asked me like, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing pretty." She goes, "I'm doing." I go, "I'm doing pretty good." And she goes like, "Good." You go like, "Of course he's doing pretty good. Look at him. He's drunk." I go like, "Nah, man, I'm not drunk. I'm not fucking drunk. I'm just, I went to get food. That's why I'm happy because I went to get." He goes like, "Fuck no, you're not happy because you went to get food. You went to get some alcohol." I'm like, no. I mean, I had a wine tasting, which is in restaurants they have wine
Yeah.
tasting sometimes, so you can sell wine. So sometimes before your shift or during your shift, your manager will allow you to taste some wine, but you got to spit it out. You can't just swallow it. You
Okay.
never swallow the wine or the alcoholic beverage that you have to taste. But he's like, yeah, of course. Look at him. Of course he's happy. He drank. I'm like, nah, dude, I didn't. Which was bullshit because I did drink. Anyways, one of those days, one of my coworkers from that morning job also worked with me at the night job, and we went to get half bottle off wine. So we bought 3 bottles. I think we bought 2 bottles, but he was pouring himself really happily, so he drank a lot more than we did. The other coworker, I had 2 coworkers with me, so there was 3 of us and 2 bottles of wine, pretty much. And I wasn't working that night. Next thing I know is he got sent home from the night job because he was drunk. He wanted to fight everyone. And you gotta imagine, sometimes people have a short fuse when they're drunk, or you know they're just themselves.
Yeah.
And he had a bit too much to drink, and a guest told him something, and he started going back to the kitchen and fucking cursing and everything and fucking wanting to fight him and everything, and they sent him home. So the night job that I was working at that point, and I don't name names from restaurants because it's better not to name them. The stories. Um, there was a time. There was a point in time where if you work in restaurants, sometimes they'll have a safe in the office where they'll give you money at the end of the night for your
Mm.
tips. So there's a combination to it, right? It's logical. There's a combination to it. We had a manager that was I kind of want to say he had ADHD. I'm not sure. He was really hyper, or he was on drugs. I'm not sure.
Mm.
Anyways, he when he forgot the combination to the safe. Like, bro, how do you forget the combination to the fucking? It's your fucking job every fucking day to know the combination to the safe. You know?
Mm.
How do you forget the combination to the safe? So what does he do? I tell him like, hey man, like just call up any manager. They'll tell you the combination. He's like, no, I got this. You got this. Okay, well, I'll leave it to you then. You figure it out. I'm just a server here. I don't care. Next thing I know, man, I'm outside the office. It smells like plum is burning. Plum as in like metal, like metal is burning and shit like that. And yeah, so we hear like some buzzsaw going off, like something is drilling or something. Anyways, so this is going on, and I don't care because I'm busy working. Next thing I know, at night, he took the whole door off that safe. Like, really, bro? Like, you couldn't just ask for the combination? You had to take the whole fucking safe part? Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
how much does such a safe cost?
Uh, how long will your conversation have been for asking for the safe combination? I mean, what would you have done if you forgot the safe combination?
Yeah, but like, I mean, it's more costly to him to buy a new safe.
Well, yeah, exactly. Why didn't you just call someone else? Say like, "Hey, man, just forgot safe combination." Something like that. I don't know. How the hell do you forget it? And eventually, yeah, he was a pain sometimes. One time when we were working, I needed his help to like take care of a few comps or voids. Comps are comps is a word for when something is made and they have to account for it. It has to be paid for by the company in a sense. They keep track of the money that's being used. A void is something that was not made because you stopped it from being made. So one day I'm looking for him because I need a comp, and I go like, "Hey man, like where's the manager?" And he's like, "Oh, he's outside in the back." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Do you know what he's doing while everything is running in the restaurant? Like everything, like you can imagine, as a server, you kind of feel like the whole place is falling apart. You know what he was doing in the back?
Nope.
He was washing his motorcycle.
Washing.
Yeah, he was washing his motorcycle.
Watching or washing?
Washing. He had a hose. He had the bubbles. He had everything. And then he looks at me. He goes like, "What's wrong, Papa? What do you need?" I fucking be a manager, bro. What the fuck you mean? What I need?
Man.
And then I think at that place, the stuff that you see again in the restaurant industry is crazy because you go like, "Shit, there's no way someone would ever do that." One time, our manager, he got not this one, but every restaurant has like around three or more managers. One of our managers at night at this restaurant, night restaurant, he has to count how much the kegs weigh, or in the back, right? But the keg room has a lock, and you can imagine a big freezer, big fridge, pretty much. And you can fit in there with a doorway. You go through, and all around you there's kegs. And this guy decided to put the lock without locking it on the door. And of course, it has a key, right? So it's a key lock. And he just closed the door a bit, not too much. So someone that wanted to do a good job or be a good bystander, they come across this lock that's not locked. So what do? They lock it. Our manager was locked in there for like 30 minutes. So at night we get paid our cash tips, right? We owe back in days, like back in 4 years, 5 years ago.
Mm.
And we're looking for him, like we're going like, hey man, we're trying to go home. It's 11, and then someone keeps on calling the restaurant phone, and I'm going like, what the fuck, man? Like we're closed. I go, well, I'll answer it. I answer it. Sure enough, it's our manager. Like, bro, where are you? Like, we're looking for you. We want our money. We want to go home. And then he tells me, I'm locked in the keg room. I go, you're locked in the keg room. There's no fucking way you're locked in the keg room. It'd be really stupid for you to be like, he goes, I'm locked in the keg room. And I go, and I'm telling my coworkers, like, hey, this guy's saying he's locked in the keg room. So we all go and check him out. And sure enough, he's locked in the keg room. So he just tells me, like, I'm thinking, like, the basic thing is there's a spare key, right? There has to be a spare key. If he has the key on him inside the keg room, there has to be a spare key in case some stupid stuff happens like this. There has to be a spare key. So I tell the bartender, hey, let's just get the spare key and get him out. She goes like, we can't do that. They're like, why not? Because I didn't tell him, but I broke the spare key last week. Yeah, what do you say to that?
Oh man.
What do you say to fucking that, man? What? What do you mean? You broke the spare key, but never. Now what? Now you got a lock on a keg room, which is cold, by the way. It's fucking whatever degrees, and we can't get the manager out. And I tell her like, okay, let's do the most simple thing. We'll just call on our manager, call on our manager that probably has a spare key or whatever, They tell me like, no, I got this. They're like, fuck, here we go again. I got this. I'm afraid of people that say I got this because it's always the stupidest idea. But anyways, I got this. I'm like, okay. So we go back. She takes a big object and breaks the handle off the keg room. And I'm looking at it going like, well, holy shit. How do we explain this? How do we explain this to the company? What do you do? Like, tell me, what do I do at this point? Like, what do I tell anyone? And I look at the manager, go like, hey, so what are we gonna tell the company? He was like, fuck it, we'll figure this out tomorrow. So then it was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'm out. You lose kind of like hope in humanity at some point, and that's where I kind of like lost hope. I was like, oh, so this is what we do. We just say fuck it. Okay. Then there was a time where
So how did this person get out eventually?
Oh, he moved on to a better job. Oh, that's why. That's how he got out. How he got out of the program?
The door opened. Okay.
No, she broke the whole door. Like she broke the whole handle off.
Yeah, but the door eventually opened after.
Well, she broke the whole handle off so you could open the door.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it still worked. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a broken door now. I mean, again, in restaurants, you see a lot of things that you like. This doesn't make sense,
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
like how did this other person like break the spare key for the keg room? Like it doesn't make sense at all. Like in which circumstance
Well,
would she?
I guess she thought she'd get in trouble, so she just kind of like didn't mention it, you know?
Yeah, but like, how would she break it? Like, why would she even use the spare key?
That's a good question. I have no idea, bro. I have no idea, and I just don't ask questions of people nowadays. I go like, okay, good. So we broke it. Okay, I'm not gonna ask any more questions. Fuck it. And that's the kind of stuff that you see in the restaurant industry where you're like, people like this do exist, you know, or this really happened, you know. There was a one incident in the restaurant where a lady died because she choked on a piece of meat. Think about that for a second. No one knew how to do the Heimlich maneuver to help this lady.
No one did what? The connection was bad.
The Heimlich maneuver?
Can you repeat?
Heimlich maneuver?
Hamlet.
Yeah, it's pretty much where you put your arms around a person's stomach
Yeah,
and push in to like make them spit out whatever's stuck in their throat.
yeah.
So no one did anything to save this woman's life, and she died there. She died on the floor.
Did anyone know how to do this thing?
No one knew. I guess no one knew at all. It's crazy, right?
I mean, it's crazy, but like after hearing so many fucked up stories, like
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some years, I think I don't know. At some point, I'm not reacting or feeling anything anymore after hearing so many fucked up stories.
You're not surprised, pretty much. No, yeah, you're right. You're not.
Uh,
I'm not surprised either.
like I mean, I would be like horrified in that situation there. But like I don't know. It's like people telling you stories and you having watched a lot of crap and news and I don't know. Like at some point, you're like, okay.
Yeah, what do you do? Like, okay. I mean, yeah, we're just gonna watch you die here because what? None of us know how to do this. Like, no one even tried. Is how bad it was. Yeah, that's the restaurant industry. And there was one time, like, sometimes in the restaurant industry, you joke around, like you horse around. Um, there was a kid that came in, 18. He was like a teenager still. Our chef was missing his one of his fingers,
Mm.
and the we call him the sous chef, not the sous chef. He was a cook, and he tells me like, "Hey Omar, follow me." He's like, "Follow you? With what?" He was like, "Just follow me. Follow what I'm saying, okay?" So this kid's like, like little, around like 5'2", 5'1", around there. He's like timid, kind of shy, and he goes like, "Hey man, like I was telling you, right, Omar?" I go like, "What? Isn't it true that the chef was in the cartel?" And that the reason he has no fingers is because they cut him off, and that's why he came over here to work. And I'm like inside laughing, going like, "Bro, you're gonna scare the shit out of this little kid that probably doesn't, think about it. Cartels and this little kid's probably like what, like 17, 18? He's probably shitting bricks because you told him the chef lost his finger to cartels." And I'm thinking like, yeah, bro, like I heard it was that bad. Like fucking chef is tough. Like he's fucking yeah. So then the cook was like, yeah, so don't fuck up, man. Chef's fucking really hard ass, and he'll fucking kill people. And this little shy, timid kid is like looking at us. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's scared. That was his first day of work and his last day of work. I felt so bad. Felt so bad for the kid.
Man, that sounds like a lot of bad karma.
Well, yeah, think about it. You made him quit. The fuck? So, anyways, well, you gotta understand too. Like in the restaurant industry, there are a lot of people that have a record. Record as in they went to prison or they probably went to jail or they've done some shit. So when I came to this night restaurant job, um, my first day there, I'm like saying hi to everyone, and And I get to meet everyone, and I come across a cook that cooks all the fried foods, and I see a lot of tattoos, and I go like, "Holy shit, this guy's about that life," you know. So after working there, I get used to him and whatever, and then he goes like, "Yeah." One day, like, "Hey, bro, how's it going?" He goes like, "Oh, you know, just running from the cops." Like I'm just laughing, thinking like, "Oh, this guy's crazy. He's just joking around." Like, "Oh, that's a good one," bro. He's like, "No, no, no. I ran from the cops." What the fuck you mean you ran from the cops? He goes, "Yeah, man, they were chasing me because I was in my car. They know what car it is. I was going through East Palo Alto. And of course, East Palo Alto is like a place where it's kind of dangerous. And he goes like, "Yeah, I lost him in East Palo Alto. I was going left. I was going right. I was on cocaine." I go like, "Holy fuck, bro. What the fuck you mean you're on cocaine and you're fucking riding in the car with fucking cops behind you?" That's a typical conversation for a restaurant worker, man. That's a typical. Eventually, I think he just quit, but yeah,
But like,
he's just
was it that easy, like, to become a restaurant worker back then, or is it still that easy? Because like, when I was in Australia and I did my alcohol certificate for like alcohol handling, and I did a basic food certificate, and in Western Australia I applied to countless like restaurants and bars, and like the market is very difficult to get in, and like from what you're telling me, it sounds like everyone who was looking for a restaurant role could just get it like thrown at him.
nah. I mean, okay, I'll tell you another story, man. So watch this. We got a cook. This guy was probably like early 20s. You know, at first I thought he was pretty chill. Let's play video games, some of that, whatever.
Mhm.
Eventually, he started getting confident and about his lifestyle, about what he does and everything. So then you see tattoos on his hands, and you're like, "Shit, man, this guy's a gangster or wannabe gangster or whatever." Anyways, I'm coming from my morning job to my night job, and I see like two police officers in the building. I'm going like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm like, I need to clock in for my shift. I need to get ready, and I see two police officers. They come up to me. They go like, "Hey, are you the manager?" Like, "No, man, the manager's she's probably in the office, man. I just got here, man. Like, I don't know what you're talking about." And so they go to the manager, and I you gotta imagine, restaurant worker, of course, right when you start getting there, you take tables, you start taking orders, you whatever. So I'm putting in orders for like five different tables, and the cops are talking to the manager. Apparently, one of the cooks brought was outside with one of the servers, and he showed him a machine gun. The cook put the machine gun up so everyone could see it, and pretty much the coworker. And the restaurant has windows that you could see outside. So one of the guests called in the cops saying like, "There's a cook on the property that has a machine gun." Think about that. How in the climate that in the times that we live in, how does not how bro, how the fuck do we function nowadays? Anyways, the cops come in, and I need food to be made, and my manager goes like, "Hey, this and that." I'm like, "Whatever, man." I go to the kitchen. There is no one in the kitchen. And then I go to the manager. I go like, "Hey, I need my food to be made, bro. Because if the cooks aren't there, your manager has to make the food. I go like, "Hey, I need you to make my food, man." He was like, "Why?" "Because there's no cooks back there." He was like, "What the fuck you mean there's no cooks back there? They're back there." I go like, "No." He looks. He was like, "What happens to all the cooks?" They're like, "Maybe they all had records and they're afraid of the cops." I mean, that's the only reason why I would think they wouldn't be back there, right? You see a bunch of cops. What do you think? Are they coming for me? What the fuck you mean? So, anyways, the cops come in. They go to the cook's car. They open it up. They find the machine gun. The cook is hiding inside he actually went inside the dumpster. This is crazy. He went to hide inside the dumpster of the restaurant so he wouldn't get caught. He didn't leave the property. He just went and hid inside the dumpster. Later on that night, yeah, whatever, something happened. He gets away. He's been hiding in the dumpster the whole fucking day. Apparently, the restaurant tells him like, "Hey, a few weeks later, the restaurant tells him like, hey, if you want to work for us, you got to turn yourself in, blah blah." I don't know what happens, man. I come in one day, he's back, like nothing ever happened, and I'm going like, so this is the industry, huh? Like we don't do. I guess nothing happened. No, nothing. What do you say to that? Like, there's no fucking loss. Okay. So one of my coworkers was like, she's an art server. She was like, hey Omar, like I thought he was gonna get arrested for bringing in the machine. I was like, nope, that never happened. She, what do you mean? We're all here. Like, no, nah, bro, that never happened. Apparently, because he's here. That never happened. We don't remember that. That wasn't it. That was just yeah, it never happened. Think about that for a second. Like, he came back.
But like, how many cooks did you have that like disappeared when the cops came?
Around 4 or 5.
And those restaurants, like where you encountered those special kind of people. I mean, and it's not shady places, right? Like you were working in normal, like average sized places.
Yeah, it's not shady at all.
um,
It's just the restaurant industry. You just never know. And yeah, so I've dealt with a lot of people, man. Like, you I mean, I'm not the best server. I don't want to be the best server. Like, after I started working these 2 jobs, the morning one and night job over in Peters, I started getting an attitude. Like, I really did not like people sometimes. So I had a table one time, 6 people, and the one thing servers hate the most is split checks. So they want to split 6 ways. After a while, serving, I just didn't give a fuck at that point. So at a table of 6, they go like split 6 ways. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I got 10 tables, but sure, I'll split your fucking check 6 ways. So I give them 6 checks, right, and 1 pen. They ask me like, hey, can we get some more pens? I go like, no, you can split that pen 6 ways too. How about that?
but how come servers like hate splitting bills? Is that like difficult to put it in the system, or?
It's just time consuming. If you have a table of 10 people that want to split a check 10 ways, and you got other tables, you know, it's taking up your time. And again, at any point in time, any table could ask you for anything.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's just it's a bit tedious.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but like that's something they should be like restaurants should be handling from the beginning then and asking if it's split bills or not, because like if you have like 6 people, the bill is gonna be like $800 or something, or $600.
I mean, but in the time of Venmo, you can just Venmo each other, no?
Yeah, but not many, like especially in the US, like where people are just making a living. Not many people have 800 or 1,000 just laying around, I think.
It's true, but people figure it out sometimes. People Venmo each other. The other thing is, people sometimes, to be smart about it, they'll use their credit card for the points, and then they'll have people Venmo them the money.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways you could look at it. You could look at it as a bad thing or a good thing. Good thing, you use your credit card to get the points for it, and everyone Venmos you your money. Bad thing is, like you said, you have to Venmo someone.
Yeah.
You gotta make the best out of a bad situation, and I would use my credit card to get those points. right? If you're spending like $500 on a meal, everyone Venmos you your $500, and you're good, and you still get the points.
Yeah, yeah. Well, works also only when you like are out eating with people you trust.
Yeah, yeah, or sell you, you know. Anyways, around this point in time, so I'm working at this restaurant, that restaurant, and like I said, you meet a lot of people. One of my coworkers was always high on cocaine, and one day he comes in, he was like, "Man, I had a wild night." I go, like, "What do you mean you had a wild night?" It was like, "Yeah, like I left here, the restaurant at 11 o'clock, went to Hayward, woke up in San Francisco, and then drank some more, and now I'm here." I go, like, "Did you sleep?" He was like, "No, no." He was, on something. Okay, okay, well, okay. So from then on, I knew that he was always, you know, possibly doing something. So one day, and this ties into Easter or religious or holidays, whatever. I'm asking him like, we're like sitting, we're like in front of our terminal to put in food, and he remembers a song in Spanish, which the song says, "Bring out the little baggie with the white powder in it." He says that out loud, and like, don't say that, bro. Like, people can hear you. We don't want them to think that we're drug addicts. So, anyways, one day I go like, "Hey, bro," it's like Sunday. I go, "Hey, bro, like, bust out the little baggie with the white powder in it." And for some reason, he looked serious. He was like, "No, Omar, no, we don't do that today." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No, today's Sunday. We don't do that on Sunday." Oh, why? He goes, "Because today's the Lord's Day. The Lord's Day. It's the Lord's Day today, so we don't do that." They're like, "Oh shit, like this guy's religious. Like fuck, that's cool. He's religious. He has rules and morals." And I go like, "Oh, bro, so like, what do we do on Sunday? We go to church or what?" He goes like, "No, we smoke. We get high." I go like, "Fuck me, dude. Like, are you kidding me?" We don't do coke, but we get high on marijuana on Sunday. Okay, we don't go to church, right? Huh? I guess not. Again, you get to meet a lot of people that you're like, how, and this is just like the culture in restaurants. We had a coworker that was a server. She was an older lady, right? And our expo was a Mexican that liked to joke a lot. And we make our own salads as a server at this restaurant that was there no more, no more now. But so the lady goes to him like, "Hey, we gotta throw out the salads," and he goes, "Why?" "Because they're old. This lady's like in her late 50s, early 60s. He looks at her and goes like, "You're old." He goes like, "We don't throw you out because you're old, right?" And I'm like going like, "What the fuck?" And again, this is like the culture in the restaurants. I go like, "Holy shit, you just, how can you tell that?" It's a lot of this kind of culture where like, holy shit, can we say this? And there was another time where like this guy, this expo, he was an expediter, and the chef at the restaurant, someone came in and he was in to get a salad, and he sees the chef groping the expo's testicles, and then he sees the expo groping the chef's testicles. So like I said, you see a lot of shit that you like, the fuck. Why are you groping each other's testicles, bro? So you walk in, you shake your head, and you just leave. Like you don't even want to know. This is like what I've seen so like in my life, in my times in restaurants. Is like, oh, okay, this is normal. And so the chef, There was this woman that was working with me, and every night we would put the sauces in the front of the restaurant, in what we call the front end of the restaurant. There was a place for sauces, but the chef wanted to keep them accounted for, so he wanted them in his office, which is where he puts his all his stuff. So one day, like I told her, like, chef doesn't want us to bring out the sauces in front no more. He wants to keep them back. She goes, yeah, but we always do this. I'm like, okay, you're not listening, bro. Like the chef, okay, fuck it. Like you're not gonna listen. I'm not gonna tell you shit. Just do it. Do it. Do it yourself. Whatever you want to do. She goes to the back and she starts picking up the sauces. Chef sees it. He goes like, "What are you doing?" And then she goes, "I'm gonna bring these to the front." He was like, "No, I told you guys I don't want them to go to the front no more. Just leave them back here. You don't need to do that no more." And Chef's a guy that's really tough. He's really direct. Like, do this shit and just fuck off, pretty much. So she picks it up again. She was like, "No, but we need him in the front." And then he just looks at her and goes like, "Are you fucking deaf or are you fucking stupid?" Yeah, that's that's yeah. What do you think to that? Like, I would have just put the sauces down. Fuck this. I'm not gonna deal with this shit. And she eventually ended up crying because she was stressed out from the whole ordeal. And one of my coworkers was She was bringing out two dishes, and one of my coworkers was in front of her, and she didn't see him because she was stressed out. She actually dumped all the butter on him. Like his whole uniform was no like butter and lobster.
Wait, what? She did what?
She bumped into someone else with the food.
So she threw food at him.
Pretty much. I mean, she crashed into him. Yes.
Okay.
And think about this. This is like 5 minutes before your shift. So that means you have to get a new set of clothes in the next 5 minutes before you start your job. Think about that for a second. Like shit. Then we had again the drinking in the restaurant industry doesn't stop. We had a coworker of mine. Eventually, I left the morning job and went to another job. Peter's across the way from this night restaurant. So this other coworker from the night job would go to my morning restaurant job and get drunk. Except one day he goes to the restaurant and he's really, really messed up. He's like drunk, drunk. He starts taking orders on the wrong table, wrong orders and everything. And then the manager sees this because, she sees the behavior. Luckily, there wasn't anyone else, like no other senior management or anything like that. So she goes like, "Tell me, are you drunk?" And he goes like, "No, of course not. I'm not drunk. I would never lie to you." And then she goes like, "I have two kids. Don't lie to me. I know when people lie to me. Are you drunk?" And then he just said like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry. I had a few too much. Okay, don't worry about it. Go home. Just go home." He got lucky. He didn't get fired. Again, sometimes in the restaurant industry, you get away with shit. You get away with stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I don't know, man. Like these people are. It's also like working in sales. You work at the forefront. You're at the front desk. That they encounter so many different customers that at some point I think you even need like more than average jokes to make each other laugh. This is how everyone gets more crazy by the day.
Yeah, it's everywhere, man. Like, yeah, like think about it. Going to work drunk and then getting told to go home is like, oh, okay. It's not shit that you can make up. It's like, oh, this is life. We had and then you'll sometimes, and it's happened to me in a few restaurants. You have people that have a really they're real alcoholics. They drink a lot. Not drink a lot as in I'll go home and drink, but they drink throughout their shift or before their shift.
Mm.
I've met people that tell me like, "Oh yeah, I wake up and I drink some liquor," and I've had people that bring in a water bottle and has vodka in it, or gin or rum,
Mm.
and they're just drinking. They're just drinking without you knowing it. And I went to another job across the street. I met an expo again. I don't know what it is, man. Just some people. He had tattoos, He had tattoos,
Uh-huh.
and I knew with tattoos sometimes they're affiliated with something. Anyways, this guy did not like me because, well, just because I have a service, like I like to do everything correctly. So, anyways, there's always night crew and morning crew, everywhere you go, every restaurant. The morning crew and night crew are always fighting with each other because one will say like, "Oh, they don't do enough," and then the one will say they don't do anything at all. You know. Anyways, he was part of the. He hung out with the night crew at the morning restaurant that I worked at. You know. And one day the night crew told me like, "Yeah, man, we went to a party with him the other day." Like, "Oh, okay. How was it?" He like, "Man, he's crazy." I go like, "Crazy? The fuck you mean he's crazy?" Like, "Yeah, like." At the party, they were telling me at the party, he was standing next to the door. He goes, the host of the party, his roommate came in and bumped into him with the door, and he got mad. He goes, the roommate went into his room and locked the door, and this guy started trying to like break the door down, telling him to open up. He's gonna kill him. Think about that. He's just saying he's gonna kill him. They're all drunk, and then the roommate opens the door and he stabs him, man. Stabs him in the ribs. And then the cops come and everything, but by that time they left, the coworkers and this guy and the expo. And then he tells the coworkers like, "Hey, stop at this store right here, the 7-Eleven." They go, "Why? Why?" He was like, "So I could put some crazy glue." He buys some crazy glue and puts it on his wound, on his fucking ribs. And he keeps on drinking. He bought like a 12 pack, and then he tells these guys like, "Man, this is the best night I've had in a long time."
The one
With
stabbing or the one getting stabbed?
the one that got stabbed.
Oh my fucking hell.
Think about that. Would you want to hang out with him? Fuck no, dude.
Man, like I really believe that some people who work like in front desk roles, like whether it's like hospitality or sales, I think they become numb over time and they need more and more excitement in their life somehow to feel alive, and this is when they like go mental.
Nah, bro. He was. Yeah, they told me like when he would go out hang out with them, he would get drunk, and because he was dealing with us all the time. He was the expo, and we always tell him like, "Hey, my food here, my food there," like blah 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 blah. So he would get tired of it, tired of hearing it. So people would tell me like, "Yeah, man, when we hang out with him, he gets drunk." I was like, "Okay, so what happens?" He was like, he says he's gonna kill us. So like, bro, I wouldn't fucking hang out with him. Would you hang out with him? He got stabbed. Do you think it's possible he'll kill you? Probably. At this morning job, we had a sandwich, a club sandwich, which is pretty much 3 pieces of bread and whatever. The guy goes, "Hey Omar, I want a club sandwich, but with only 2 slices of bread." You know. He goes, "I know it has 3, but I want 2." I was like, "Okay, well that's fucking easy. Like, fuck, it's a normal sandwich. Who's fucking stupid enough to not make a fucking normal sandwich?" Anyways, I was like, "Okay, I'll put in 2 slices for you." And then he goes like, "So Omar, tell me, which one of the 3 slices are you gonna take off to make it 2?" So he's trying to be smart, right? You go like, "You know what? How about I take the bottom one off, and I'll leave the middle and the top one. That way, I'd like to see you try to eat a sandwich like that." And he goes, "Oh, you're funny." Yeah, I go like, "Yeah, how about we do that?" So I put in 2 slices. How do you think that sandwich came out?
I don't know, you took the bottom one off.
Nah, bro. Even though I put in the notes just 2 slices of bread, they put 3.
Oh man.
So It's been like 15 minutes, right? They're making the sandwich, and I tell the chef, the cook, hey, bro, like in the notes it says just 2 pieces of bread. I go like, I need you to take the middle one off. He looks at me like really mad, right? He grabs the sandwich, and I'm thinking, no, he's gonna take the middle one off. No, no, no. What he does is he throws it in the garbage.
The chef wrote in the garbage.
Yeah, the cook threw it in the garbage. Instead of just taking the one piece off, he threw it in the garbage. So I'm mad, you know. I go to my manager, and my manager doesn't like stupid people either. He goes, what's wrong, Omar? I know you're mad. Like, I I asked for a club sandwich with 2 slices of bread. He goes, what's the problem? I was like, well, they gave me one with 3 pieces. And he goes like, oh, well, let's have them take one off. I go like, I did. I asked them to. I asked them to take the middle one off. I was like, yeah. So what's the problem? The cook grabbed the sandwich and threw it in the garbage. How do you think my manager felt after hearing that shit? Yeah. Oh man, he was so pissed. He was like, "The fuck you mean they threw it in the garbage?" Like, I don't know. I don't know. And again, sometimes you deal with people that are, you know. Eventually, we got the sandwich out. One time, my coworker ordered a pizza with light cheese, right? Light cheese pizza, pretty much. A pizza with light cheese. Do you know what she got? She got a pizza with half half side had cheese on it, half the other side didn't have cheese. How, bro? How do we do this?
So
How is that?
half the pizza was empty basically.
Yeah, yeah. Is that light cheese? I mean, I'm saying I don't fucking know. Like, is that? Holy shit, bro! Like I said, sometimes the people you meet in the industry, you're like, wow,
Yeah, I mean
wow.
the mathematics of it were right at least somehow.
Oh, there's no math there, bro. There's no math involved at all. And during this time, I met one of my coworkers. She was chill, so I was new to this, restaurant. It barely opened. We were all new, and I'm starting to talk to her, like like getting to know her as my coworker. And she tells me like, and this is the people that you meet, you know. She goes, "Hey, Omar, like, hey, what's going on?" She goes like, my fucking boyfriend pissed me off." I'm like, okay, okay, that's cool. So did you just, block him or something? She was like, no. He said he's gonna pull up to my house and shoot. And I'm thinking like, the fuck you mean? Dude, it's like 10 in the morning, and I'm hearing that someone's gonna shoot at you last night. Like, and I go like, well, what'd you do? I go, did you go to the cops and shit? She's like, no. I told him to come on over. I got my boys with me. Like, what? What do you mean you got your boys with you? Come on over. Yeah.
Well, what
What
did
do
you mean
you?
by boys over? Like she's part of a gang or what?
I mean, she was ready to fucking shoot. I go like, bro, do you even own a gun? She goes like, yeah, I do. It's in my car. I go, what the fuck? She goes, yeah, so fucking piss me off or I'll shoot you. Like, are you joking? She goes like, kinda. I go like, oh shit. That's the kind of people you meet.
Man, like
Eventually, huh?
how do you go not mental like with those kinds of people during the years?
Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. Alcohol helps a lot. Yeah. Anyways, I became good friends with her. She's pretty cool once you get to meet her. And one day she tells me like, yeah, you know what? I'm tired of my boyfriend. I'm like, okay, well, it's about time. She goes, yeah, I'm gonna hire a hitman to kill him. And I'm thinking like, do I need to know this? Isn't this kind of like illegal for me to know this? You're kind of telling me you're gonna have a hitman kill your boyfriend. Yeah. Yeah, bro, that's the kind of people you meet in the hospitality, not hospitality, but restaurant industry. Gosh. Anyways, eventually COVID happens, right? 2020.
Mhm.
So of course I got let go from that job, and the other night job, of course, yeah, they closed down permanently. Oh, here's the thing for you. Something I learned. One of my night coworkers, he tried to be smart because he had a company come in, right?
Mm.
And they paid with a company credit card. So my manager was trusting enough to give him his card, which allows you to take off items. So after the company left and they signed the receipt, what he did was he asked for the manager's card so he could take off a lot of items and get more tip. See what I'm saying? So let's say it was a $400 bill and they tipped him 20%. That's 480, right? But what he did was take off items. So probably the bill went down to 350, and the total of the bill will be 480, meaning a $130 tip. Well, now what happens is the company needs records of the receipt. They call the restaurant. They ask for the bill, the receipt. They need a copy. They go like, okay, your bill was this much, right? And they go like, yeah, and you tip this much. They go like, no, 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 no. That's not how much we tip. They go, what do you mean? Like it's this? Like no, 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 no. So that coworker got fired for what you would call, I think, fraud at this point. I think you can call it fraud. I don't know. Well, you're stealing. Yeah, you always gotta, read the receipt. Some people, some people do shady shit.
Mm.
That was the last thing I encountered at that restaurant. Eventually, I moved on to another restaurant in 2021. Sometimes you gotta think like places are like negative energy, like places are cursed,
Yeah.
and this restaurant was one of those places. Uh, it went from like one time my coworker came in. It had been like 5 minutes, probably into the shift in the morning. 10 in the morning is like his first minute in. We had a ketchup bucket, a big bucket of ketchup. Someone didn't put the lid tightly on, so when he tried to pick it up, that thing fell on the floor. That's not the bad part. All the ketchup bounced back up and went all over his clothes and face and ears. And this is like his first minute in the clock.
This was the worker who got spilled over, or what?
No, I mean, this was just a coworker that came in to do his job, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah, 1 minute in, ketchup. I look at him. I
Mm.
want to laugh. But I feel like an asshole. I go like, I'm not laughing. Like, hey, bro, are you okay? He was like, no, I'm done. I am done with this fucking day. I'm going home. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna keep you. Like, you smell like ketchup, bro. Like everything is red. His face is red. His ears are red. His hair has ketchup. His clothes have ketchup. Think about that. You go to your job, you clock in, and then something like that happens to you. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I would go home too.
I say, fuck this. I'm out, bro. I'm out. I'm fucking done. I'm not gonna deal with this shit. Luckily, he stayed and helped out, but yeah, I mean that again. This places like that where that shit happens, it's cursed. One time, a customer found a bolt. You know how you have bolts and nuts?
He has what?
You have a bolt and nuts.
Bolt and nuts.
Bolt? Yeah. You know, when you have to screw something in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone found that inside a hamburger. How does that happen? So my coworkers like going to the guy asking like, "How's the burger?" He goes, "I found a bolt in it. I found a nut in it." And then he goes, "How's that?" The guy goes that's eating goes like, "How's that possible?" Like my coworker goes like, it fell from the sky apparently because I have no fucking way to explain this. How do you explain that shit? How do you explain to someone like there's a fucking nut in your fucking in your burger? That place was cursed because mental health is a real thing, and that's where I found out that mental health is a real thing. Um, so many problems,
Mm.
so much bad management. Not bad management, but one person was a bad manager, and it's just the stress of it all. Again, how do you find a nut in the burger? I have no idea. You know, like a lot of my coworkers, again, going to alcoholism and mental health. A lot of my coworkers got fired or let go. I mean, I always say you leave the way you want to leave a job. You know, they all chose to leave with alcohol, and you're talking about 20 of them. Um, the first one had a breakdown. Um, got on the job. I remember like taking his tables because he spilled water. He was drunk. He was AA. He relapsed, and he had gone through so many things emotionally, like he couldn't do it no more. One of my other coworkers, he got to that point too. You could tell when someone's burning out in the restaurant industry based on their behavior or their questions. And one of my coworkers once came in. He was mad because a table asked him for a to-go box, which is made out of paper, versus a to-go container made out of plastic. So they asked him for a to-go box, and he brings it out, and so like, no, we want a plastic one. He comes back. He was like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck? What difference does it make if it's plastic or fucking paper? What the fuck is a to-go box?" They're like, "Well, did they ask for a to-go box to a container?" He goes to a container. Like, well, that's the difference: plastic versus paper. That guy would eventually come in drunk too, and he would just not care and just he just left. He became he started working for a laser company for dental work. But that's the thing about the restaurant industry. It's really draining on your mental health. You know, um, many of my coworkers that restaurant job got, just but they went out the way they wanted to leave, which was majority alcohol, and that's
But
why I believe that place is cursed.
yeah, but what's with like any success stories like in your environments like where people made it far?
I mean, most of them, yeah, a few of them moved on to management positions and stuff like
Mm.
that, and they did good. They're still there. I still visit them from time to time. But again, it's just the mental health side of the restaurant industry. It's big. I mean, some servers get mad. I mean, I've got mad at customers. A
Mm.
lady came in once, and she and her husband were eating dinner. They She told me she had a shellfish allergy, and she couldn't eat shellfish, right? So she ordered a dish, and I put in the notes shellfish allergy. Then she goes, "I want a lobster," and I'm thinking, bro, a lobster is shellfish. You're allergic. She goes, "No, no, no, no. I can't eat lobster." Like, fuck. Okay, okay, whatever. So then she goes like, "Hey, Omar, last time," and she's got an attitude about herself. She goes, "Last time I was here, the lobster was overcooked." I go, "Okay." She goes, "So I want you to make sure that it's cooked correctly." So I'm like going like, I'm mad, at this point. Like, You know what, ma'am? This is what I'm gonna do for you. She goes, what? I'm gonna go back there in the kitchen, watch a YouTube video on how to cook a lobster, take a little 10-minute quiz on how to cook a lobster and get an A on it, then tell you, okay, I'll make sure that your lobster's cooked to the correct temperature, cooked correctly. And then she goes like, oh, so I got a smart ass for a server. I go like, no. So you just got a smart server. And then her husband starts laughing. And I put it in the notes, guest had a bad lobster last time, just make sure it's correct, this time. So then the lobster comes out and I asked her, is everything okay? Was the correct temperature? She was like, yeah, it was correct this time. Okay. Anyways, there's this dog next to this table, and she looks at me. She goes like, "Hey, Omar, do you like dogs?" So you gotta understand, I already made her look bad in front of her husband. So I'm thinking she's gonna try to make me look bad right now, right? Like try to get one on me. So I go like, no, yeah, ma'am, I like dogs. She was like, do you own one? I go like, no, unfortunately, I don't own one because if I get near them, I could die because I. She looks at me.
Mm.
She goes, good. You don't deserve to own one. I know. I deserve to live. Then she looks at herself. She's like, oh, you're allergic to dogs and you could die. Like, yeah. I am so sorry. Like, yeah. That's uh, that's when you know you've had enough people shit, man. But other than that, I'll tell you one thing about the culture of hospitality. We're there to make you feel special. We're there to help you guide through your menu. Going out and eating is really people go like, why is everything so expensive? You got to understand, you're paying to eat and drink in an establishment, outside with your friends. You're not going to clean up, you're not going to do anything. You're just there to have someone wait on you. They're going to give you your food, they're going to take away your plates, they're going to refill your water. You're not doing anything at all. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the experience of being treated nice, right?
Mm.
So when people say like, "Oh, it's a lot of money," yeah, well, you're also getting, you're paying for this experience. People want to go out, buy wine, and I don't know, just eat food, cheese, oysters, whatever. And that's what the hospitality side of it is for us. We just try to make sure that you feel comfortable, you don't lift a finger, and that's.
Mm. So I have some questions. If you think back for those past years, when was, I don't know, when was your most happy time, or like your proudest time in all those experiences? Do you like recall anything particular, or is that among the things you mentioned already?
I'd say 2018 was the best year for me. Um, I think that year, because I was working 6 days a week at both jobs, morning and night,
Mm.
and like 12 hours. I think I made that year 150,000. It's a lot of
100,
money.
100, how much?
150.
150, yeah. Yeah, and it's like the average was how much back then? I don't know, like the costs and prices in California.
Also, so for servers, we get, you know, your hourly in California,
Yeah.
which is, well, in the Bay Area, it's 16, 17 an hour, plus your tips. As a server, though, you don't care about the hourly because you got to think about it. Let's say at the end of your shift, after everything you did, you you made $300 in tips, right? Let's say your shift was 5 hours. So you were pretty much getting paid $60 an hour while you were there, not including your hourly, which would be 16. So you're getting paid 76 bucks an hour, $76 an hour, pretty much.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of tip then. Yeah.
Then again, like I said, you also got to remember what we are nowadays. We we tell you what you can and you can't eat, right? I mean, you go out, you expect us to like um, tell you what you can, make sure that your food is the way you want it, no allergies, no nothing, right? I
Yeah.
think nowadays what people expect from a server is more than what we were back in the days. I've had a customer come in with his mom, early 20s, and he had a psychological condition about obsessive thoughts, And he tells me, like, he asked me, "Do you think I should get the wine or the CBD? We sell CBD drinks at my current restaurant."
Yeah.
I go like, I'd say wine is to unwind, And I go like, "Why are you asking this question?" He goes like, "Well, you know, I just have obsessive thoughts." And his mom's asking like, please don't drink." And I'm kind of worried now. Like, what the fuck you mean you don't want him to drink? Like, you don't want him to drink. I don't know what's gonna happen, and he has obsessive thoughts, and I don't know if these thoughts are good or bad. So I ring in this wine because, and this is the thing. I'm not a psychologist, bro. I can't tell you if you can or cannot drink alcohol
Mm.
while you're having obsessive thoughts. I don't know what's gonna happen. I you know yourself better than I do. So I put in a glass of wine for him, and I bring it to him, and I go like, uh, honestly, man, I don't mean to overstep my boundaries, but if you're having obsessive thoughts, and I don't know if they're good or bad, or because again, mental health in America is really at a low
Yeah.
point right now. I don't think this is the way to go about it. He was like, why? He was like, alcohol's a depressant, and I don't know what it's gonna do to your thinking. He goes, I just want to slow down my thinking. I'm like, yeah, I just don't know how your thinking's gonna change. You might go do something obsessive and might do something yourself. I don't know. Eventually, he got the CBD instead of the wine. But I
Yeah.
think what's expected from us servers nowadays is we're not just your server anymore. We're your nutritionist. We're your psychologist. We're your even a dentist. Like a few weeks ago, I had a lady come in, told me I had surgery on my tooth. They're like, okay, what can I eat? I go, what do you mean? She was like, I can't eat anything sticky that will put my tooth out. I tell her, like, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm legally qualified to advise you on this because I'm not a dentist.
Mm.
I mean, what happens if she eats something and her tooth comes out? Who does she blame?
Yeah. That's the. I don't know. Like, I think she was like expecting you to tell her like to drink some soups or something, probably.
I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, you want to shift the blame to someone else. I get it. But then when something goes wrong, you're going to blame me for it. There was at the job that I got in 2021, there was an older gentleman, late 50s. He was eating our bread. And then all of a sudden, he just tells one of our coworkers, he goes like, "Hey, you come here." And my coworker goes over there. He goes like, "What? Yes, sir. What may I help you? How may I help you?" And he was like, "You see this?" He spits out the bread. It's covered in blood. And then he goes, "You see that?" And my coworker can't believe it because it's blood. He goes, "You see that? Like, what is it?" He goes like, "That's my tooth." His tooth came out because of the bread. And all my coworker does is go, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
the bread was normal, right?
yeah. Bread was bread. It's normal.
I mean, there's always something that can happen that's not foreseen. It's just like you don't. I don't know. If you focus on that, you will go crazy.
And that's why servers have mental health issues because you have to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not something you can control if someone will spit blood after like eating a normal piece of bread.
Yeah, I mean, it's out of my control, bro. Like, what can I do?
And yeah, and like I don't know, and for the other part that people asking like waiters questions in general about different things. Uh, I don't know, like I don't know, like when I go eat somewhere and the waiters are like friendly, like in Indonesia or other countries I've just recently traveled to, and they act like collegial or like friends. I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. So I think sometimes people they don't only go to the restaurants like to not have to wash the dishes, but also like to have someone to maybe talk to, and in that sense, what you call like shifting expectations. I think people are just maybe bored or lonely sometimes.
No, which is again the case. Like, you go out and do this. Yeah, we want you to go out and do this. That's why I go out and do this. I go out and drink and
Mm.
eat. The thing is, though, when you have someone that tells you, "I'm a vegan and I have an allergy to certain things like gluten,"
Yeah,
then it's really difficult to get you something.
I mean, I think wine always works though, right?
Hmm?
I mean, in terms of drinks, wine would always work if it's gluten related.
Yeah, because they can't drink beer. That's for sure.
Yeah,
The other thing is, if they're vegan, wine isn't necessarily vegan because during the fermentation process, sometimes they'll add some like fish parts or some kind of parts from certain sea creatures.
yeah, but like usually it's on the menu. It shouldn't be too
No,
difficult to find out, right?
no, it's not on the menu. You can look it up. You can look up any menu. It won't tell you that a wine's vegan. You'll never see a wine that says it's vegan.
I mean not the wines, but like the food.
Oh yeah, it's in the menu, but
Yeah,
how many people want to read the menu?
yeah, but like I mean, like if I have a special dietary requirement, like then I should also look on the menu first, or like have an understanding at least, and not blindly and stupidly like expect everything from the waiters. I see like both sides having responsibilities.
Nope, they just see me.
Mm.
They haven't seen me yesterday, have me today again, it'll have me like the day before. I had a person come in and they asked me like, "We're vegetarians, what can we eat?" I go, "Well, if you look at the menu, if it has, you know, meat in it, it'll tell you." And they go, "Oh, well, where do I look?" Like, look at the menu. That's again the mental health kind of issue where you're like, are
Mm.
we that dense? Reading the menu? Like, yeah, yeah.
Maybe it would be easier if you just tell them, yeah, you can have this salad, give them like one option, and then if they ask for more, then you tell them the second, and that's it, instead of having to think about 3, 4 different items.
Yeah, I mean, it would work in theory. Believe me, I've thought about that. In practice, I've done it, and it doesn't work.
Okay, so they keep asking questions or what?
Yeah, they're not gonna stop. Sometimes you might go in there and you might tell them like they might say like, "Oh, what do you like? Oh, I like this, and I think it's a good dinner. What do you
Mm-hmm.
recommend? This, and that." And then else is like, "I think I'll just have this." So that time that you spent talking to them was pretty much for nothing.
But this is what I mean by like sometimes I feel like people are looking just for some company to talk to. It's like asking your friends for opinions and then still doing what you first thought of.
Why you wouldn't ask me, dude? Just look at what you want to do. What do you mean? I'm not gonna waste the time. What do you want to eat? I always tell people like, what do you want to eat? I've had people ask me like, what should I eat? Should I eat chicken or should I eat fish? What do you think? They ask me like, what do you think?
Then you should tell the like more expensive one.
Huh?
Then you should like try to get them for the more expensive item.
Oh yeah. When they see that though, they go like, oh, that's too expensive. I'll go for this.
Yeah, then you should do reverse psychology and tell them the cheaper one.
So I'm saying like, I had a table like a few months ago. Like a girl asked me, should I eat the lamb shank or should I eat chicken? What do you think I feel like eating? The fuck you mean with it? What? Am I fucking psychic? What you mean with it? I think you feel like eating. I fucking don't know what you feel like eating. It's fucking. It's lamb and it's fucking chicken. What do you want? Chicken or lamb? How hard is it, bro? Fucking fuck that. Do you want fish? Do you want chicken? Do you want beef? Do you want lamb? What do you want? We got all four of them. But if you ask me, like, what do I feel like eating? I'm like, yeah,
But I think with those kind of people that at some point are not normal, you just have a playbook which is also not normal. You just tell them, okay, I think you should have lamb.
the thing is, at every shift you go to, you probably deal with that kind of person at least 10 times a day.
Okay,
Now by imagine that by around 300 days a year.
it sounds like a good way to like get practical experience in mental illness and psychology.
It is. You get tired. I once had a guy. I once had a. All right. I once had a guest come in to one of the restaurants I worked at. He was late 50s and he wanted to drink some rum. I go okay, and then I go, is Captain Morgan okay? She was like, yeah, that's okay. It's rum. I was like, yeah, it's rum. And then he goes like, oh, what does it come with? Like what? Well, yeah, what does it come with? The fuck you mean? What does it come with? What do you want it to come with? You see what I'm saying? It's like, what do you mean? What does it come with? What do you want it to come with? You want a Captain Morgan and Coke? Do you want a fucking Captain Morgan and fucking some cranberry juice? What do you want? What soda water? Tell me, please. What do you want? If you ask me what does it come with, I will like, well, it comes out neat, right? At that point.
So what was he expecting eventually?
I don't know. I just suggested Coke. He was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. You're 55. You're ordering rum, and you're asking me what it comes with. Think about that for a second.
And like even like a lot of people do it, but like even the combination of alcohol with caffeine in it, like Coca-Cola or other stuff, man, that's like a shit idea.
Yeah, that's what we deal with in the restaurant industry. We deal with people that are a bit special, I guess you could say. At the restaurant I used to work at in 2021, we have a no corkish fee. Corkish fee means you go to a restaurant, they charge you, I think, $20 or $10, depending on the restaurant, to open a bottle of wine that you brought in from outside, right?
Mm.
So that's bottles of wine, corkish fee. One time, a lady came in with her friends, probably like four people, and they brought in three different bottles of liquor: Jack Daniels, Patron, and some other bottle, right? And they're going like, "Oh, there's no corkish fee here," and the server goes like, "Yeah, the corkish fee, no corkish means that it's for wine." not for liquor. You go like, no, but there's no corkage fee. And he goes like, well, there's no corkage fee if I can use my wine key to open the bottle, right? Like it makes sense because it's wine. And one lady goes like, oh, you can use that in the Patron bottle because it has a cork.
I mean, it makes sense somehow.
I mean, do you see what we deal with? Do you see what we gotta deal with every day? Like, okay, that makes sense. Fuck, you want to bring your own Jack Daniels bottle? Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, I'm like, for me, that concept of like bringing your bottle and paying a fee for it is even weird because I don't know, like, I don't know if I didn't go to many places that do this, like in the past, or if it's not common in Central Europe. And the only place where I heard was in where was it? In Bali, I came across like that you can buy your own fish and bring it to restaurants, and the chefs cook it for you, and you pay a fee, for instance. Or like I think in I don't know if it was in Australia, you can also bring your own booze to some places and you pay a fee. Um, but I'm not sure of how common that practice even is.
I mean, yeah, that applies to all those places, but not here though. Not here, bro. So you get people that try to do that, you know.
Mm.
It's
Uh,
again,
yeah.
that's why the people in the restaurant industry they burn out because you get so many questions like that you go like, really? Like, what does rum come with?
Mm. But like during those years, like have you like ever like have you ever had any like customer that would come frequently to one of your places where you worked and that you will work like cool with or that you really liked somehow like that you became friends with or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's always those people that are, that are like that. There was one up back at one of the restaurants that I worked at,
Mm,
um, but I didn't really become his friend because
mm,
it's not really um, it's not really a good thing to socialize with customers outside of your hours.
mm.
Because let's say you get invited to drink with them and then you do something dumb,
Yeah,
then the whole how they see you is different,
yeah, but like I mean maybe I rephrase it like was there ever anyone that sticked out to you and that you liked more than other customers, and if so why? And yeah.
Not really. I mean, there are people that have that kind of customers, but me, not really. I'm more of a server that here's your food. I'll
Mm,
take care of you. I'll make sure that everything is going well. But I'm not your friend. Every restaurant wants you to practice what is called friendly, not familiar.
mm,
Meaning, we're not gonna hug each other.
mm.
We're not gonna do a fist bump. We're
Mm.
not gonna. We're not gonna. I mean, probably shake hands, but you're not gonna do anything where you feel like you are that close to them. You always gotta maintain your distance.
That must also be like very stressful. It's like I don't know, it's like putting a buffet like in front of you on the table and then you have to watch it day in, day out and you cannot touch it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. You can't do anything. Even yesterday, one of my coworkers, he was hugging one of the guests, and the manager said like, she likes, and not in a bad way, but said like, you can't just hug guests. And he goes like, oh, but I knew her before here.
Mm.
Like it's like saying like you come to the restaurant and I give you I haven't seen you in a long time, so I give you like one hand and a hug. They wouldn't want that because they'd be going like, why are you doing that? You can't do that with the guests.
Mm.
So again, it's being friendly but not familiar with your guest.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. What was the biggest tip you ever received, and do you still remember that person?
Yeah, $100. I mean, it's not like the biggest tip.
Yeah.
You don't measure tip based on um the amount, but the percentage. So let's say your tab is 50,
Mm.
and you decide to give me $100 total. That's 100% tip.
Mm.
So the biggest tip I ever gotten probably was like on 300, I think.
So like the whole bill was 2,000 or what?
No, I think it was like the bill was like around 800.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I know, $300. I mean, that's how good that restaurant job was.
Yeah.
I think we were making around $600 per day. That's crazy, right? Making
600,
like, yeah, 608
3,000
hours.
per week.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good money. 3,000 per week is 12,000 per month.
yep,
Yeah, that's more than 120,000 per year.
yep. I'll tell you like this: we were working in that restaurant in the morning, and then we'd go next door, spend around $200, not care on drinking, just drinking bottles of wine, just sake or like liquors, spirits, $200, and we used to go like, oh well, fuck it, we're gonna make it again tomorrow. Think about what it's like to live that way. Like say, oh, I don't give a shit. Tomorrow I'm gonna make this money anyways, and more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's independence.
Yep. Again, once you're a good server, you can make good money. But
But the usual tip in the US is like 10-20%, right?
yeah, but you also got to remember how many people do you take care of in the shift? How many tables? So you imagine like you're
Yeah,
getting
but like, yeah,
around.
I mean, for
Hmm?
like if you have a customer that orders food and drinks for $100, would the usual tip be like $10 or $20, something like that?
Yeah, 10 or 20, but it
And
all adds up.
if it was two people, yeah, no, no, I'm just checking like average tips for the US.
I think the average is around 15.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's funny how even that changes from country to country because, like, in places like Singapore, the tips are included in a service fee fixed by the regulations, basically.
I mean, I would like it if the tip was included in the meal, for you already. Like, let's say, like my
Mhm.
night job. Let's say the steak there costs $60, right? So to get
Mm.
20% of that, we add $12 more, making it $72. That sound like a good deal? 72 for a steak, and then
You
let's say
mean?
you get some more items.
Mm,
You get some
mm,
more items, and then your total bill comes to 200, and you don't got a tip, but you only ate like 3 or 4 items.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Well, the minimum. What's the minimum wage like in California right now?
16 in the Bay Area.
Okay, but then usually, like, if you work in service, you get the minimum wage, right? Like hourly at least.
I don't know, but like one guy once told me, he was like, "Why don't they just put, the total price of whatever you're getting paid plus your tip?" I go like, "Well, if you do that, you're pretty much saying they're gonna pay me like $80 an hour."
And what does he mean by total price?
Total price meaning tax and everything included already.
Okay.
Meaning you wouldn't have to tip me, but the company would have to pay me like around $70 or $80 an hour.
So he's speaking about like the value of the items sold or what?
He's talking about the costs hidden within the receipt, like tax and tip. Because, like I said, some
Yeah,
places who do the tips are included.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
not
Okay,
here.
I got it now. Yeah.
Because when they see the bill and it's high, they go like, "Oh,
So
tip is
he
included
means,
already." Like, nope.
yeah. So he means like if it was like in Singapore, maybe like already included, right? In the
Hmm.
calculation somehow.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But think about it
Yeah.
this way: let's say you go out to like a restaurant I work at, right? Um, let's say my morning job I work at, we have a burger that's $20. Let's say for you don't gotta pay tip because it's already included in the price of the burger. So the burger cost $20 originally. Let's just add 20% to it, right? So now you're not paying $20, you're paying 24. Does that sound like a good deal?
Like, can you repeat that? I missed that. I didn't get
I'm saying like,
understand it.
so a burger at a restaurant that I work at in the morning,
Mm.
it costs $20, right?
Yeah.
But let's say we do what this guy's saying and says apply the whatever the hourly is without tipping, like already include a tip and everything in the price
Yeah.
of the meal. So if you do that, 20% from the burger, that's $20. Your total is gonna be probably like around 26, given taxes and everything. Do you really want to spend $26 on a burger?
I mean, it's not a far stretch anymore from 20 to 26, but yeah, it will scare people off.
And that's why people don't want to, include the tip in it because if you did that to all the items, it'd be really expensive.
I mean, it doesn't change the fact that it's gonna be expensive at the end.
Bro, at least at the end, though. But if you see prices that are like 60 or 70, you're like, why is it so expensive for this? That would be the reason why.
Yeah, like is there like if you look back at all of your like experiences and stories that you told, like um what like would there be any I don't know, like any final words like advice to people who want to enter like service, or like, do you have any outlooks of how things will change? Like, is there anything you can add like to the stories that you said?
I mean, if you're trying to become a server, expect to learn um, the taste of everything. You know, like how an apple tastes, or a strawberry, oranges, whatever. You know, spices, cardamom, cumin, all that shit. Expect to remember yourself, remind yourself of what those tastes are like, because you might find it in certain foods, you might find it in wines. You know, you have to know your wine, and people will say, "Oh, it's a Cabernet, so it's gonna have the black cherries, tobacco, chocolate, blah blah." Blah. But if you're really good at tasting things, you'll be able to do it. Really have a lot of patience with people, definitely, especially your coworkers, because at times it feels like you want to kill them.
Mm.
And that's what I would say. As a server, that's what I would tell people that want to become a server. Just learn your wines, learn your alcohols, liquors, what a food tastes like, what spice tastes like, because it's all gonna come back eventually.
Mm. Do you think something will change the industry substantially within the near future, or like, is the traditional way of things going to be preserved?
I think they tried already doing the robotic server
Mm.
thing. That didn't work out. I mean, a robot can't tell you again what something tastes like. You know, if you tell me
Mm.
um, what a dish tastes like, I mean, a robot's not gonna know what it tastes like unless you program it to tell you what it tastes like, and even then, it might not taste like that. You know, because
Mm. Mm.
everyone has a different palate, and I don't see a robot being able to tell you what it thinks is good based on your palate.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna be outsourced anytime soon.
Yeah. 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 Like, I don't know. It feels sterile when robots serve. I had a robot serve me in Germany once. It's nice for taking pictures or videos, but it's also very stupid.
Yeah, it's not the same feeling as a server.
Mm.
And they've done
Yeah.
studies on this in psychology and stuff, and they realize that it wouldn't take off.
Yeah.
We're social people. This is like you said. Some people want to go just talk to someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna talk to a robot. The robot's not gonna care.
Yeah. All right. Any final closing remarks? Any quotes, personal quotes that you just come up with, or yeah, because I think you've like told us quite interesting stories, but I think we also like have been on record for quite some time, so I think it's good to wrap up. And yeah, it's your last say.
I would say it's just be aware that mental health is real. You know, take care of yourself first. Put everything else second, especially if you're a server or bartender or in any hospitality industry. You know, relax yourself, go enjoy your day, treat yourself nice,
Mm.
because you're always out there giving everyone else attention, and then you don't give attention to yourself, and you just kind of dwell on it, and eventually it just takes you over. So
Mm.
you know that mental health is real, and you should take care of yourself primarily.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, bro. For the insights, the stories, the experience, and I hope it reaches some people out there, and I think it will be valuable among so many different stories. And yeah, in general, thanks for your time. And then I will be closing this podcast. And yeah, thank you. And yeah, I talk to you privately anyway.
All right, thank you, and have a good day, man.